Hey, good morning. Just about 6:01 here. Nice to have you here in beautiful Chippewa Falls. Tony already up on YouTube. Where's Pat? Pat was a little late. Sorry. I will explain why at 6:06 when we get this little shindig started across the Civic Media Radio Network. See, I've misplaced a couple of things on my desktop there. So we got that. I do remember how the camera works. There we go. Coming up today, we will be talking a bit about the government shutdown and something that's never happened in a government shutdown before. Taking food off tables of lower income families out of spite. The money's there to do it. We've never done this during any other government shutdown, but we're doing it this time because we can, because it's all about the wars on the poors. So we'll talk a bit about that. Then in terms of guests coming up, Jeff Renneke will talk about the government shutdown and its impact on our national parks, specifically the Apostle Islands National Lakeshore, since he is from the group Friends of the Apostle Islands. We'll catch up with Dan Hagan from Newswatch 12 in Rhinelander, James Kelly from our Civic Media station here in Chippewa Falls, Cam Stevenson from Courier Newsroom live from Washington, D.C., and Ruth Conniff, the editor of the Wisconsin Examiner, will be joining us in our 8 o'clock hour to talk about the controversy over how the Department of Public Instruction handled accusations of misconduct against teachers. Very serious concerns, so serious that maybe we shouldn't politicize them, as some Republicans are doing. We will cover that and much more all ahead, starting at 6:06 across the Civic Media Radio Network and right here after the news. See you in a bit.
Democrats in Congress say they will not agree to end the shutdown unless the tax credits will continue. Republicans have said they would consider extending the tax credits after reopening the government. Milwaukee Congresswoman Gwen Moore.
We're going to see families like this take some risks and simply drop their coverage and just cross their fingers and pray. Maybe we could just get by and show up in the emergency room if something really goes bad.
Data shows when more people are uninsured and healthcare providers, the government, and charities have to absorb these costs, everyone pays more. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson, 92.7 WMDX News.
Bucks basketball tonight. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. NBA, the Bucks are at home tonight against the New York Knicks. Both teams with records of 2-1. The Bucks coming off a loss on the road to Cleveland. Giannis Antetokounmpo.
I think it says a lot. The Cavs had the best record last year. They're one of the best teams in the East. Nothing is guaranteed. Nothing is given. They have to prove themselves.
Baseball. Game 3 of the World Series lasted 18 innings, the most since the World Series in 2018, when Freddie Freeman hit a home run in the 18th to lead the Dodgers to a win over the Red Sox. Last night, it was Freeman again, this time against the Blue Jays on Fox Sports.
Freeman sends a fly ball to center field. Varsho's going back before the clock strikes midnight. Freddie Freeman has ended it. It's a repeat hero on a Game 3 classic.
The Dodgers winning 6-5. Game 4 is tonight in L.A. The Dodgers up 2-1 with Sports on Mike Clemens.
You're listening to 92.7 WMDX, Madison's home for the Maggie Dawn Show, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m.
It is going to be mostly cloudy today. Our high right around 59 this afternoon with wind out of the east at around 5 to 15. Tonight, scattered showers likely. Our low in the upper 30s to low 40s. Tomorrow will be mostly sunny with a high of 57. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Right now, it's 36.
The Todd Albaugh Show.
Brady Ewing, two-time Big Ten champion with Wisconsin football.
To hear that the coaches aren't fostering those relationships at the high schools, that has been the heartbeat of the team before Fickell's time. I got recruited other places, but I chose to be a Wisconsin Badger because of what that meant to me. If it means something to you, not just the name on the back, but the name you have on the front of your jersey, that's going to have staying power in today's college athletic landscape.
The Todd Albaugh Show, weekdays 2 to 4 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the app.
Busted Pencils, fully lettered education talk.
You know, one of those things, and speaking about AI, guess what I did? I used AI to prepare for the show today, Johnny. Of course I did. I got it together, put up a little outline. You know, the suggested title, AI, Apocalypse or Opportunity.
But you can guess what the AI thinks, Tim.
Yeah. Subscribe to Busted Pencils wherever you listen to podcasts and at civicmedia.us.
Todd Albaugh.
Hey, everybody, if you're like me, you're
Wisconsin on Civic Media. You're listening to Mornings with Pat Kreitlow, powered by Up North News. Now, from our Lake Minnesota studio, here is the founding editor of Up North News, Pat Kreitlow.
Well, hey there, Wisconsin. Good morning. It is a Tuesday morning, October 28th, 2025, and it's another beautiful morning to have you here up north, live from Lake Minnesota, from wherever you're listening across the Civic Media Radio Network or catching us on YouTube, Facebook, podcast, website, tin can with a string. I've always wondered why that was hanging here. Anyway, we're glad that you got your day started right here, and I hope your day is starting out well. I concern some people because the show starts on the radio at 6:06. We start the live stream, social media, Facebook, YouTube at 6 o'clock, but sometimes I'm a little late getting it started. And Tony right away gets up there on YouTube from up in Ashland and says, "Where's Pat?" Then Alicia jumps in the comment sections and like, "Wait, Pat's missing." Tony responds, "He wasn't here at exactly 6 o'clock," saying, "I need my pre-show preview precisely at 6 a.m. Tony, I'm sorry. I have an excuse. I got a question for you. You ever start your day with something that could just send your day into a tailspin, and you have to catch yourself and go, nope, that's not what's going to happen here? Well, that happened twice already this morning. So let me bring in my favorite non-coffee drinker, Parker Olson, who's producing this shindig down in Madison Studio A2. Parker, you have your water? You have your fruit snacks?
I have my water. I've had my fruit snacks. And Pat, I had 2 pieces of white bread and butter today because I needed something in my tummy before I took Dayquil.
Yes, Parker's a little under the weather here. He's plain wounded, and we appreciate that. He's got his Whitewater hoodie on because that's how he does it. It's like he remembers, in Whitewater, they teach you never give up. You get on that field no matter what. And he is on the field of battle today, and we appreciate it. As far as, and Alicia says, Tony gave me a heart attack. And Tony's like, well, I have 3 kids, so I never start my day without spiraling into something. Anyway, here's the thing that spiraled. I get up, alarm goes off, there's a 4 on the alarm clock, like 4 something. Okay. Stumble out to the kitchen. I want to pour myself a cup of ambition, but I can't because as I go to pull the coffee pot out of the dishwasher, I've pulled it out of that dishwasher 1,000 times. I think literally, yes, more than 1,000 times when I think of how long we've had the dishwasher.
I believe it. Yeah.
And the one time it hits, as I lift it up, it hits the bottom of the counter. And of course, we've got these like granite countertops or whatever. So you hear that sickening, it doesn't shatter, but it cracked. You that sound. And you pull it out. Yep. And it's got a big old chip in it, a little chip that's missing, and you're not going to get coffee. But then I remembered I have a dual coffee maker. It's got the pot on the one side, and it's got the single serving on the other where you can put in the little pods.
Oh, sure.
But it also, because I am, I might be Earth's best friend as an environmentalist. I don't use the pods. I have a little cup, and you put a scoop of coffee in there, and you put it with water and all that. But here's the thing. It's a very touchy basket. You can put in, if you put in half a scoop, you'll be okay. If you put a little more than half a scoop of coffee in, you're okay. Somehow that coffee machine knows the number of granules of coffee that you put in. Because you think you've got it, but if it's got 1 granule too much, as I'm getting the rest of breakfast ready, you suddenly hear the water, couldn't get through the coffee, and it is spilling out the other side and onto the floor.
Oh.
So I'm a 2-time coffee loser today already, but yeah.
That's a tough morning, Pat.
It was, but again, you now catch yourself and you go, wait. I can't go back to bed. Parker wants to go back to bed. He's not feeling well. He can't go back to bed. I can't go back to bed. That's
otherwise what would happen?
Yeah, we have work. Well, clearly what would happen is
Tony and Alicia would the ground.
I know you've got the comment sections filling up already with how their morning routine unfolds. So I'm glad we could be here for it. We just wanted to pull the curtain back a little bit and let you know that even when we're not at our best. And here's the thing, we're not at our very, very best, even though we did not stay up to watch an 18 inning baseball game. My God.
Yeah.
When I woke up,
I cannot tell you how happy I am the Brewers are not playing in that game because I would have stayed up.
oh, how could you not? The temptation would be so great,
Yeah.
And
Games last night.
oh, I saw maybe an inning or two, and oh yeah, Shohei Ohtani hit a home run. I'm like, okay, he's still doing things, and it is just I guess it was.
Wow.
I didn't catch exactly what time. I'm guessing from the play-by-play guy on the replay, he said just before midnight, which would have been just before 2 a.m. here.
Yeah,
when the
it
game
was.
ended.
Yeah, I was seeing that on Twitter earlier this morning. I was reading. It was like, this post is from 2 hours ago. What happened?
Oh man, this is 609 pitches were thrown over 6 hours and 39 minutes. 44 players in the game, including 19 pitchers. All of that for Freddie Freeman to hit a home run in the bottom of the 18th, a walk-off home run in game 2 of the doubleheader. Is essentially what it was. And the Dodgers take a 2-1 lead. And Shohei Ohtani homered twice. He doubled twice. And by the way, he's going to be the starting pitcher in like 12 hours or something like that.
I read a quote from him after the game that was, what do you think? Basically was the question. And he said, I think I'm going to bed as soon as I can.
They have to, because they got to be back up to do this all over again. Now you had Max Scherzer, who was pitching for Toronto. He's going to be retiring. He's been around forever. He is an instant Hall of Famer.
Is it announced?
Yes. Well, I don't know if it was formal. It's like everything but formal, that he's going to be done. No, it's Clayton Kershaw who has said he's retiring. And I guess he made an appearance in the game. So you had these two, Hall of Famers who are in the game as well. But I'm sure glad I didn't stay up for it. That's all I got to say about that. I clearly had it. Although if I had, I'd have more of an excuse for, breaking the coffee pot and trying to break the coffee maker, but I don't. So we carry on. Yeah.
Instead of sleep.
Yeah. That was just, again, I've pulled that coffee pot out a million times.
Don't you hate it?
Don't you hate it
when you mess something up that you've done?
Well, think about it though,
like thousands of times. How do you screw it up?
Look in your cupboard. I mean, certainly for us, because we've been together for 40 years here, and there's so many things that are no longer a set. There's like, there's 2 glasses left from that set, 1 glass left from that set, one or 2 bowls left from that set. And so, it happens over time. It's not an everyday occurrence, but we all break things. But every time it happens at that moment, you think it's the dumbest thing you've ever done, And then you realize, no, I'm actually capable of much dumber. It just didn't happen this time around. So anyway, I did eventually get the coffee maker figured out on the single side. So I am partially, belatedly caffeinated. So this is a different cup. Parker's looking at the monitor. I have a couple of different cups with photos of the grandkids.
No offense to your grandkids. At a distance with how you were holding it, it looked like a pig in a blanket.
And you don't want me to be offended by that?
This is true.
You are sick. I'm gonna turn your camera off over here. You go back over there. I'm gonna tell people what's on the show coming up today. First, an invitation to contact us, 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. The calls are rare in the early morning because, as Tony puts up on YouTube, that's the day Parker was replaced. No. And Alicia putting every single bowl in my house is chipped in one way or another. By the way, these folks and you all welcome to call 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. People go, Pat, you don't have a lot of callers on here. What's the deal? Do you know what happens? And I don't know if a lot of other hosts talk about this or not, but it seems like I'll prattle on for a while and then somebody will go, okay, I got to talk to him about that. And invariably when they call, there's like 8 seconds left before the commercial break, or, less than 2 minutes. And there are other hosts who are really good about putting a caller up and going, caller, you got 60 seconds, go. And it's always that awkward thing when it runs right into a commercial and you got to cut them off. So I'm going to try to do a better job of saying at the start of certain segments, if we don't have a guest or other things, is to say, hey, the phones are open. It's the start of the segment. Call on in, because we would love to hear from you. We would also love to get your text messages and your voice notes using the Civic Media app. Again, just download the app wherever you are and call or text your voice note from there. Alicia says it's loud where I'm at. And that's why we have the comment sections, and we love those. We love it all. We just want to make sure the phones are available to reach us, as well as things on the app. Coming up today, we're going to be talking in just a little over 5 minutes here about the government shutdown and its impact on food assistance. And that's the question why. We've never had this issue before with government shutdowns, but apparently it has to be that way. So we'll get into that. And then in our 7 o'clock hour, we're going to be talking about the shutdown as it relates to the national park system, and that would include the Apostle Islands National Lakeshore. And we have that here up north, and we have a guest from Friends of the Apostle Islands, Jeff Renicky, who is going to talk about the impact of the government shutdown that way. In our 8 o'clock hour, more about the shutdown as we talk to Courier Newsroom correspondent Cam Stevenson, live from Capitol Hill, to learn the latest on what is or is not going to be happening there. And then we're going to be talking to Ruth Conniff from the Wisconsin Examiner. And Ruth has a great column that's in the Examiner. Look for it at wisconsinexaminer.com about the controversy at the Department of Public Instruction about how allegations of teacher misconduct are handled. And those are very real concerns. But Ruth Conniff also does a good job of putting things into perspective, that in outlining what exactly is the process right now and how it may not be as monstrous as certain politicians are making it out to be, because they're the same politicians who have declared war on the Department of Public Instruction by starving it of the funds it would need for staffing to look into things like this. And oh, by the way, a couple of those Republicans happen to be the ones protecting a president who wants to keep the Epstein files sealed up. So maybe there's a little political drama. Maybe there's a little hypocrisy that's going on. And Ruth Conniff will put that all in balance for us. We will hear from our friend James Kelly. He's at the Civic Media Newsroom here in the Chippewa Valley to talk about some of the stories that folks all over the state might want to know he's following in western and northern Wisconsin. Dan Hagan will join us from Newswatch 12 WJFW to tell us what he's covering up in the Northwoods as well. Temperatures across the state range from the cold spot is up there in Ashland, where Tony is, at 27 degrees. The warm spot is down in Racine, where it is 50 degrees. It is 39 degrees here in the Chippewa Valley. Again, we'll talk about the government shutdown as it relates to the shortages of food that are about to take place, including in food banks, because it turns out that for months, the Trump administration has canceled deliveries of food to food banks. So they're not equipped to help out in the coming crisis. From the heart of America's up north, live from Lake Wissota, thanks for making this the place to spend part of your mornings. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
Podcast, but lazier.
Hearing loss is frustrating. If
My-
you're not
my-
sure what others are
My
saying,
grandbabies look like pigs in a blanket, huh?
I don't know. It was something with the light and the angle. At a distance. Oh yeah, up close I get it. Yeah, they're very cute.
They are on a blanket. Yes.
Aha! I'm not that crazy.
Yeah. There are my grandsons that you think are pigs. Okay, let's see. And we've got there's our daughters, and there's
It's a cute pug.
the two
Very cute pug.
little ones. I don't know. Maybe the baby there, offends you. I don't know.
I did once make a my choir teacher. I once made his baby cry.
You're just really on a roll.
Yeah, no, it was an all-timer.
Tony, sometimes we don't need to say everything we think, and that's coming from me. Yes. Yes, we know, Tony. We know. What are you going to do? All right. Let's right this ship here.
Although not in every business climate ranking. National Business Capital, a business lender, ranked Wisconsin 42nd for starting a business, while Simplify LLC, a publication serving startups, ranked it 43rd. But Wallet Hub and U.S. News ranked Wisconsin's business climate in the mid-30s, and CNBC and a poll of CEOs both ranked it 21st. From 2018 to 2025, Wisconsin added 63,300 jobs, ranking 40th nationally, according to the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia. I'm Trisha Young for Wisconsin Watch. Fact briefs are bite-sized fact checks of trending claims produced by Wisconsin Watch and GigaFact. Read more at wisconsinwatch.org.
Tomorrow morning on the program, we will be joined by Ellie Bordeaux of Up North News. She puts together our daily newsletter. You can sign up for it over at upnorthnewswi.com and click subscribe up in the banner at the top of the homepage to get what she is putting together and out early every morning. And Ellie will join us tomorrow just after the news at 7 to talk a bit about things that she has put in the newsletter and things that will be in future newsletters as well. We'd love to have you along as a subscriber. Same goes for our weekend newsletter, Sunday Mornings with Pat Kreitlow. And on there, we took a look at the week in politics and include a question of the week. And as I am continuing to discover, people are very divided on the topic of a nuclear power plant, whether there should be a new one built in Wisconsin. There are plenty of people very passionate that we should not. There are plenty of people who understand that there are risks, but with safeguards, we would have nuclear power that is not fossil fuel based and would not damage the climate. So where do you come down on that? You can send us a note through all the normal ways here, through the comment sections, through the Civic Media app. But if you want to be able to answer first, to get signed up for that newsletter, head to upnorthnewswi.com, click subscribe up in the banner on top of the homepage. All right, well, with the government shutdown, there's something happening that has not really happened before in a government shutdown that looks to be happening here shortly. And that is SNAP running out of money, nutritional benefits for lower income families. In past government shutdowns, there was agreement that, look, we're debating other things about funding the government, but hungry families shouldn't go hungry. Kids shouldn't go hungry. Those benefits continued. The only time it was ever in jeopardy was during the shutdown that happened during the first Trump term. But again, at the last moment, it was saved. This time around, the Trump administration is hell-bent on making sure that, kids in lower income families don't get enough food to eat, and refusing to budge, even though there is additional money available. There are supplemental funds the USDA could be using to apply towards SNAP benefits, but they choose not to because the cruelty is the point of this. The same goes for the spike that's coming in health insurance premiums as a result of the government shutdown. The government shutdown is happening because premium tax credits for the Affordable Care Act, the things that make health insurance more affordable in the Affordable Care Act marketplace, are expiring. This is extra help that was put in during the pandemic, and it made a real difference to families. It continues to make a real difference. It's the kind of thing that, frankly, should have happened a lot earlier, pre-pandemic, to make health care more attainable, more affordable for families. But politics being what it is, you get the best deal that you can get. And 4 years ago, there was this agreement in Congress. All right, we're going to have these enhanced premium tax credits, things that make these policies more affordable, and we'll do it for 4 years. That seems to be the best that we can do to get it past Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema and anybody else. So there they are, and they're getting set to expire. And now you've got people, Derek Van Orden most recently saying it was the Democrats that set it up to expire. This is all they're doing. Technically true. But again, rewind the clock. Let's go back. 2017, the first Trump administration, and the massive corporate tax breaks, the massive tax breaks geared toward the very wealthy that were set to expire back in 2017. They set it for 8 years. They're going to expire at the end of this year. What did the Trump administration want? They wanted those tax cuts to continue, some of them to be made permanent. And that's what they got. So it's not like they have to go away because you reach the end of a particular cycle. If it's something that's worth fighting for, Republicans clearly thought it was worth fighting for the very rich. And that's what they got done. And now it's Democrats who are fighting for what they believe in, which is affordable health care. Whose side would you rather be on in that debate, by the way? The billionaires getting the extra tax cuts along with the corporations, or the families who, like you, could be one job loss away or one cancer diagnosis or one car crash away from medical bankruptcy? That's what Democrats are fighting for, and Republicans are so hell-bent on protecting the health insurance companies and the corporate profits that come from it, that they would rather keep the government shut down than negotiate with Democrats and somehow keep trying to find ways to blame them. So the premium credits are going away, and the open enrollment period begins on November 1st. That's this Saturday. And some of the prices are already being released as far as how much more it's going to cost Wisconsin families. And the Office of Commissioner of Insurance put out some examples. So here are some examples for you quick before we take a break here. Family of 4, income $130,000 a year. And you're looking for a silver plan on the marketplace. And you live in Eau Claire County. And right now, thanks to those enhanced tax credits, that family of 4 pays $704 a month for health insurance. $700 a month for health insurance. When those tax credits go away come Saturday, if they want to renew, it's going to cost $2,700, not $700, $700. That's $24,000 a year in higher health insurance costs. In Racine County, it goes from $1,000 for that family of 4 to $2,400 a month, for a total of $16,600 a year more that Republicans want you to pay. If you're 60 years old and it's just a couple living together, $85,000 a year income, and you're, say, in Brown County, currently costs you $600. Starting Saturday, $2,700, an extra $25,000 a year for a couple that's still 5 years away from qualifying for Medicare and Social Security. And there's more. I'll give you more throughout the coming days here. Examples of this is what Republicans actually want. They'd rather protect the health insurance company profits than to take your taxes and make health insurance more affordable for everybody. Instead, they want to give it away to billionaires. That's your money they're doing it with. Today's history lesson is next. I'm Pat Kreitlow. You're up north.
Government, lakes, and 92.7 WMDX.
Smart Swaps. It's a new initiative from the dairy industry to try to help school lunch programs move their way through regulation. I'm Pam Yankee, starting you off before the opening bell on a Tuesday morning. Quick look at what's happening in agribusiness news. The effort spearheaded by the National Dairy Council. They want to help with the challenges that school nutrition professionals face trying to meet evolving USDA school meal standards. Katie Bombach is the vice president of school nutrition for the National Dairy Council. She said some of the unique flavors and blends they've developed are being tested on students. And she says students don't have a filter.
Some fun examples include a few cold or portable options like apple pie overnight oats. There's a strawberry pancake yogurt parfait and a frozen yogurt bark. Kids are wonderfully honest. There's no filter. A few of our favorite comments from students included, quotes, put this on our school meals with an exclamation point, and then it tasted really good, 10 out of 10. But it was a great reminder that taste testing is essential. What sounds good on paper doesn't always resonate or land with students.
Katie Bombach with the National Dairy Council says that they enlisted the help of about 2,500 students across the region to do a little taste testing on their recipes. They're now up to about 25 new or updated standardized dairy recipes as part of their Smart Swaps, helping the school lunch program. Markets are next.
As the weather changes, it can start to impact feed quality. Don't let your cows become the victims of the ration roller coaster. Adding Generator Elite to your herd's ration can introduce beneficial microbials that support gut health and help the herd navigate the highs and lows of feed quality, all while using less than an ounce per day per cow. Learn more about Generator Elite at bio-vet.com.
Innovation, that's BioVet.
The Wisconsin Agribusiness Classic is Wisconsin's premier agribusiness industry event, drawing interest and participation from all segments of the industry throughout the Midwestern states. Mark January 13th and 14th down on your calendar to be at the Kalahari Resort and Convention Center in Wisconsin Dells. The depth of coverage and exhibits provided during the conference makes it clear why the Wisconsin Agribusiness Classic is Wisconsin's premier industry event. For more information or to register, visit wiagribusiness.org.
On Monday, barrel cheese was up 2.5 at 179.5. 40-pound block cheese gained 2.25 at 180, but double A butter drifted 1/4 cent lower to $1.60 a pound. The November Class 3 milk that goes into cheese is up a penny this morning, $17.90. December corn is currently 2 cents stronger at $4.31. November beans are up 11, $10.79. July wheat right now up 3.5 at $5.68 a bushel. Just a quick market snapshot on a Tuesday. I'm Pam Yankee. Catch Farm Report updates throughout the day from the Midwest Farm Report, right here on 92.7 WMDX.
It is going to be mostly cloudy today. Our high right around 59 this afternoon with wind out of the east at around 5 to 15. Tonight, scattered showers likely. Our low in the upper 30s to low 40s. Tomorrow will be mostly sunny with a high of 57. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Right now, it's 34.
No fear here, just monster savings at Verlo Mattress of Madison. This October, the only thing creeping near your bed is a deal too good to miss. We custom make every mattress so you know exactly what's inside. No tricks, just treats. Save hundreds on mattresses, foundations, headboards, sheets, and more. Monster savings at Verlo Mattress of Madison. Upgrade your bedroom and unleash the sleep of your dreams. American-made, locally crafted, Verlo. Hurry in before these monster savings vanish. Verlo Mattress of Madison.
Join me, Tom Hartman, each and every weekday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. for the Tom Hartman program right here on Civic Media. I talk about the issues that all Wisconsinites can get behind, from unrigging our economy so it works for all of us, not just the billionaire class, to improving our representative government, to delivering on the promise of we the people. Tune in middays right here on your local Civic Media station from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. for the Tom
Today's history lesson begins with a little journey.
When the lights go down in the city and the sun shines on the bay.
That, of course, is Steve Perry, who made his debut with Journey this day in 1977, playing with them for the first time in San Francisco with a song, I believe, dedicated to the city by the bay there. On this day in 1492, Christopher Columbus lands in Cuba on his journey to the New World. and I figured he was in Japan. He was not in Japan, but it just goes to show you GPS has always been a necessity. We're very lucky to have it when we do. On this day in 1636, the Massachusetts Bay Colony voted to establish a theological college. The college started this day in 1636, would later become known as Harvard University. The number one song this day in 1978 was by Nick Gilder.
Child in the city. Hot child in the city. Running wild and looking pretty.
On this day in 1886, the Statue of Liberty was dedicated by President Grover Cleveland. On this day in 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis came to an end as Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev ordered the removal of Soviet missiles from Cuba. That was 1962. On this day in 1963, the Beach Boys released this little bit of school spirit.
Some loud bragger tries to put me down and says this school is great. I tell him right away, now what's the matter, buddy? Ain't you heard of my school? It's number one in the state. Hey, hey, take it away. So be true to your school.
So Be True to Your School, released this day in 1963, includes part of the Hawthorne High School fight song, where the Wilson brothers went to school. On this day in 1919, the Volstead Act is passed by Congress. You know it better as prohibition. The Volstead Act established a nationwide prohibition on alcohol. Congress passed it, overriding a veto by President Woodrow Wilson. Happy birthday to country singer Brad Paisley, who turns 53 today.
I can hardly wait to get a little mud on the tires, 'cause it's a good night.
All right, let's look at some of the other birthdays here. Parker, I don't know if you watch a lot of, what was it, Young Sheldon, where Annie Potts plays Meemaw. Yeah. And so there's a generation that only knows Annie Potts as, you know, kind of this older actress playing these grandmotherly roles. And then some of us, you know, remember way back when she was on Designing Women, and she's been acting for a very long time. She is 73 years old today. The late Charlie Daniels was born this day in 1936, passed away in 2020. Microsoft founder Bill Gates is 70 years old today. Actress Julia Roberts is 58. And actor Joaquin Phoenix is 51 years old today. So going back to Brad Paisley's birthday, he's 53. He was born this day in 1972. On that day when he was born, Stevie Wonder released his 15th studio album called Talking Book with this track.
When you believe in things that you don't understand, and you suffer.
Superstition was one of the big singles off Talking Book, and as was You Are the Sunshine of My Life, again released 53 years ago today. On this day in 1948, Chuck Berry got married. He married Thametta Toddy Suggs, and, you know, a lot of rock and roll marriages, they don't last. Theirs did. Chuck Berry remained married until he died at the age of 90 in 2017. That's a marriage that lasted 68 years. On this day in 1985, the number one song was by Whitney Houston. That again was 1985, that it was the number one hit. And go up just a couple of years to 1989. And at the top of the album charts, you would find Janet Jackson with Rhythm Nation 1814. I mean, Rhythm Nation was a blockbuster. It had Love Will Never Do Without You. Of course, the Rhythm Nation title track, Escapade. and much more. Again, this day in 1989. So that's it. Kind of a slower day on the day for music and history. There's some days where it's like we need more than 15 minutes to cover all of this, and some days we can just move right on to the National Day calendar. And so let's head back over to sick bay and see what Parker has to say about what you were able to find. I'm fine. It's okay. He's now seeing things. What was on the National Day calendar today?
National Day calendar, it is National Chocolate Day, Pat. Are you a big chocolate guy?
Of course I am. But here's where I take, again, we have a little fun with this calendar, but we don't have the staffing time to possibly look into this, to collect everything that's on the National Day calendar. And how many different days are dedicated to chocolate? There's always something chocolate, it feels like, every so often. Or dogs. How many different dog days?
There's a lot of dogs.
There's a lot of dog days on the calendar. So apparently this is the overarching one. It's just National Chocolate Day. Not chocolate ice cream, not chocolate pie, not anything like that. Not there's dark chocolate day, probably Belgian chocolate day, chocolate chip day. It's just about the chocolate. Just it.
As far as I know.
Okay.
That's what they tell me.
Hey, that's fine. I mean, for breakfast, again, the whole secret to making Chippewa waffles here in Chippewa Falls is the little mini chocolate chips. Oh, do you know what I saw in my kitchen this morning? Apparently besides the chipped coffee pot. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, no, the grocery store apparently ran out of semi-sweet chocolate chips. And so somebody brought home dark chocolate chips. Are you thinking about this?
I'm not a dark chocolate chip guy.
Oh my gosh, Parker!
It's fine. Pat. I am okay with dark chocolate. I just prefer milk chocolate.
Milk chocolate over dark chocolate?
Yes.
Okay. I'm starting to see what it is that has weakened your immune system to this point. It's a need for dark chocolate and coffee.
Well, the secret, as Todd Alba discovered on air once, the secret to enjoying Malort is having dark chocolate after.
Oh gosh, that time he tried Malort, and I don't even know exactly what Malort is.
No one does. It's a torture device, from what I understand.
But watching them try it is just, oh my gosh.
It was hilarious.
So you need to have, that's the deal, is you need dark chocolate after drinking some of that swill?
That's what I'm told. That's what I hear.
Okay.
I'm not going to try it.
Okay. No, I'm not either. I saw that. I heard it. It was disgusting. There's so many other pairings where chocolate goes great. Like when you discover the combination of chocolate and raspberries, for example, or chocolate and strawberries. But I mean, a family tradition here at Casa de Kreitlow is a chocolate cake with raspberry filling as kind of the frosting in the middle. I mean, that's amazing,
Yeah.
Yeah. Luke is asking on the text line, don't look a gift horse in the mouth, eat the chocolate and enjoy. He says, I would reference the Billy Madison scene with shampoo and conditioner bottles saying dark chocolate is better than milk chocolate, but I don't know if Parker would get the reference. Honestly, I don't either. So I thought Parker might, which is why I bring it up. Swing and a miss for that. All right, there we go. Tony writing on YouTube, Malort is the spawn of Satan. Yep, that could very well be. All right, we've had enough fun with National Chocolate Day. Is there anything more worthy of its own day?
We definitely have things more worthy of their own day. It is National First Responders Day.
Excellent.
And it is also National Immigrants Day.
Oh, very nice. Good touch there. Yeah, I mean, especially the first responders. You cannot possibly say enough about A, how grateful we all are, and B, how there is probably, I'm guessing, a perpetual need for, the next generation of first responders. If you are interested in any way, shape, or form, it is something that you should consider pursuing, or at least learning more and seeing if it is the right field for you. All right, so that's what's on the calendar for today. Let's see what we can find in some entertainment news. We don't make Parker watch TMZ, so he just finds this free form over the internet. What should we talk about this morning?
It does largely come from TMZ, I will admit.
Oh, good. Okay. Well,
yeah, we have
a viewer. That's good. Go ahead.
We have Kim Kardashian. She suffered a aneurysm which was on the season premiere of season 7 of the Kardashians.
Of course it was.
Of course it was. And she learned that this can be caused by stress. She claims it comes from Kanye West.
What comes from Kanye West?
The stress that caused her aneurysm.
Oh, yeah. Well, yes. If Kanye West were the father of your children and all that, yes, of course you'd have perpetual stress. I mean, at least she's got some reason to be stressful. What else could it be? That she's a celebrity, that her daughter is a billionaire. If there's anybody who should not have stress in their life, it is Kim Kardashian. But yeah, but can Kanye West cause an aneurysm? Yes, I believe that he can. All right.
I bet he's caused more than one.
Yeah. There's a note here about Wicked. Did you see the first movie?
I did not see it. No.
Okay.
I should have. I meant to.
You should. I believe if I saw the commercial right, Peacock is going to have it for folks that want to watch it before seeing the second one, which will wrap up the whole show. It was already a long enough play on Broadway. It was like 3+ hours. And they've now turned it into like 5-6 hours of movie time. And so if you want to see the rest of it, you got to head to the theaters here soon. So what's the entertainment note about Wicked today?
Ariana Grande, I believe she played Galinda in Wicked. She her music career was like basically stalled. She did not really want to do music anymore. Or at least didn't want to create any more albums. But Wicked let her kind of find her creativity again. So she's back. She's made an album and she's got a tour as well. All thanks to being Wicked.
All right. Well, hey, you never know what's going to spark something. We talked about it with the Billy Joel documentary. For a time he thought he was done, and then something sparked a little bit of creativity here. All right, and lastly, in Parker's top 3 entertainment stories of the day.
Pat, I want you to guess who Katy Perry's new boyfriend is.
I know.
Oh, you know?
Because I watched TMZ. That's why.
Of course.
Again, for folks that are making a face at their radio, I spend all day surrounded by the news and by politics, and Sherry spends the day surrounded by all kinds of medical crises. And so we just want, at the end of the day, we want to find the dumbest thing imaginable and turn our brains off. And TMZ is what did it for us. So that's how I know that Katy Perry's boyfriend is former Canadian Premier Justin Trudeau. And they're an adorable couple. They are. They're adorable.
Are they?
I think it's great. I think
you're going to run a yacht whale watching together.
I think, yes, they were. And I'm happy for them. They're happy. Unlike Kim and Kanye, where Tony writes on YouTube, I'll bet Kanye tells Kim her kids look like pigs in a blanket. I can't imagine the level of stress.
Kids? What?
Tony off the top rope. Tony off the top rope. Oh, coming down on Parker. Oh, it's just a shame. Oh, the humanity. Much more coming up after the 7 o'clock news. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. Yes, of that segment. It is.
Yes,
that's why this show is so balanced and valuable. TMZ. Thank you, Tony. I just heard that yesterday from somebody that said we have a very balanced show. And yes, I'll give TMZ the credit for it if need be. So there you go. Tony, you hurt Parker so bad. You done him wrong.
Man, turn your mic off.
Oh, that's so funny.
Texting last year too. Yeah, baby steps. But I did call Madison Hearing Aid Center, and you should too. 608-249-4077.
608-249-4077. Tell them John and Gordy sent you.
Get the drill out of my face. Hey, no one wants to get their teeth drilled at the dentist, right? That's why I stopped. This is Dr. Chris Kammer from Victorious Dental.
Wait a minute. Tony said I was right about something. I don't remember what it was about that I was right, but he said I was right about something. Aha! There's a point for me.
Yeah, but you don't remember what you were right about.
No, but I was right about something, and that's all that matters.
I believe it was the Merlot. Or not the Merlot, the Malort.
Malort?
Yeah, Malort.
Yeah. Okay. Probably true.
Or chocolate. The chocolate? Oh.
Chocolate.
Okay.
Proud of our quirks. While you're trying to find parking on Willie Street or hunting takeout on State, WMDX keeps you connected to what matters most in our one-of-a-kind community. Real news and great conversation. WMDX.
hungry. What's cooking?
Oh, no, not me. It's your turn.
Oh, we're back to taking turns?
Yes.
Well, how about Sugar River Pizza?
Oh, yeah, now they can cook.
I could really go for some of that 12-hour smoked pulled pork.
Ooh, and some pasta. Okay, now I'm hungry. Sugar River, here we come.
And they have that great kids menu, too.
We don't have any kids.
Right. That's beside the point. The point is, I'm hungry. You're hungry.
Let's go.
Yes. And we should talk about having some kids.
Get in the car, Bob. Sugar River, Sun Prairie, Verona, New Glarus, and catering.
When severe weather hits and the power goes out, do you have a plan? For reliable power and peace of mind, propane can do that. It only takes about 10 seconds for a propane-powered generator to restore power to your home. So no matter what Mother Nature has in store, you know you're prepared. Learn more at wipga.org. This message is sponsored by your local propane provider and the Wisconsin Propane Education and Research Council.
Get monster savings during October at Verlo Mattress of Madison. Save hundreds off mattresses, platforms, bed frames, sheets, pillows, and plenty more. American-made, locally crafted. Check out.
Good morning, guys. It's Cindy.
Aw, thank you. That was Cindy, one of Tony's little pigs in a blanket, joining us on the voice
Pigs in
note.
a blanket are cute. Okay.
Sure. Yeah, you go with that. From on the text line from Lori in Hayward, she writes, "Good morning, Pat and Parker. How coincidental that the Statue of Liberty was recognized on this day so many years ago, and today we celebrate National Immigration Day. Wouldn't it be nice if ICE would take the day off and celebrate National Immigration Day?" Well, yes, I don't think it's a coincidence. I think National Immigration Day was picked for just that reason, the Statue of Liberty's dedication. But yeah, wouldn't it be interesting if it was just a national holiday that day to note the people for whom, 99% of us are, immigrants in some way, shape, or form, and that maybe we once again learn the value of immigrants to this country. What we're seeing instead are a political class of people willing to want to make migrants the scapegoat for everything that befalls them. And they're celebrating that all this food assistance is being cut. They are celebrating that health insurance costs are about to skyrocket because somehow it's all going to quote unquote illegals and just other migrants. When, I know it sounds harsh, but if only there were a way, if we could just deport racists and bring in people who actually want to work hard and make a life for themselves in this country without having to basically take a dump on everybody else. Worry about yourself, work hard, and maybe channel that anger toward the people who are really preventing you from flourishing. And it's usually not immigrants. It's usually somebody who wants to make sure that they're paying a tax rate as low or lower than yours, that they can deny health insurance to you and your family, and on it goes. But if they can just get you thinking it's the immigrants instead that are the problem, well, then they're the ones who are going to flourish that way. In kind of a sign of the times here, I've always enjoyed going to Parade of Homes, seeing what's out there in any given community. The Chippewa Valley has a Parade of Homes, and let's see, in the Milwaukee area they do. And I do like seeing the homes, and I do like seeing the homes that are maybe a little out of our price range, but they're nice to see anyway. So I get that that's a feature of it. But just something struck me kind of funny about this story in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel from Francesca Pica that says Menominee Falls Mansion, featured on Parade of Homes, sells for $4.5 million. The 9,000 square foot home spent just weeks on the market before selling for $4.5 million on October 14th. And don't get me wrong, I'm happy for them. I'm happy for the buyer. I'm happy for the seller. This is not about, nobody should be wealthy. It's about the system itself that has allowed us to get to a point where on the Parade of Homes, we now celebrate that there's this $4.5 million mansion that we can go see. Meanwhile, we have an issue with affordable housing, the lack of it, the lack of space where, starting families can live instead of paying rent. But this is where we've come at this point, to have $4.5 million homes on the Parade of Homes. Congratulations to all of them. But boy, I would love to see the parade of affordable homes that a nice young professional family could afford to move into. I'd love to see more of that. Some sad news out of the Milwaukee area as well. Longtime news anchor for WISN Channel 12, Jerry Taff, has passed away at the age of 85. Jerry Taff was known for his signature sign-off, "Good night and better tomorrows." He died in his home state of Texas. He was such a part of the TV dial and the radio dial, frankly, in Milwaukee for a long time. He delivered the news for WISN from 1979 to 2005. He and Kathy Michaelby and a host of other co-anchors, propelled Channel 12 to first place at 10 p.m., knocking off perpetual juggernaut TMJ. He described Milwaukee as, the place that he loves to be, even though he said no place is especially totally feels like home, he said in a 2005 interview, but Milwaukee feels more like home than any place else. Jerry Taff was extremely polarizing for, how they have those polls for favorite anchor and least favorite anchor in a given market. He was second in the running for favorite anchor and first in the polling for least favorite anchor. And even I will admit, from the 4 years we lived in Milwaukee while Sherry was going to med school, he was kind of an acquired taste, and that you weren't really sure if you liked this guy or not. Then you realized, hey, he's doing his job. He's got his own unique style, and sometimes he's going to say things in a way that maybe don't sit well with you. We're still talking about Jerry Taff, right? I'm not talking into a mirror here. Anyway, you just learn that people have their quirks, and if you have quirks enough that some people gravitate towards you, you're going to do well in a given job, in a given market. And that's exactly what Jerry Taff did. And again, passed away at the age of 85, but is going to be very well remembered by a Milwaukee TV audience for all that he did. All right, let's look ahead to the rest of the morning here on Mornings with Pat Kreitlow, powered by Up North News on the Civic Media Radio Network. We will be talking to Dan Hagan from Newswatch 12, WJFW TV in Rhinelander, who's not nearly as polarizing as other TV anchors that I could name. Nobody doesn't like Dan Hagan, and we'll be talking to him coming up in a bit. We will also be talking to James Kelly, who does the news for Civic Media out of our newsroom here in the Chippewa Valley. And we'll be joined by Jeff Renicky from Friends of the Apostle Islands. The Apostle Islands is not a national park. It's a national lakeshore, but that still has some functions that can be impacted by the government shutdown. And we will be asking Jeff more about that. Then, of course, in our 8 o'clock hour, as usual, Courier Newsroom's Cam Stevenson will join us from Capitol Hill to let us know if there's any progress on resolving the government shutdown. And then finally, we'll visit with Ruth Conniff from the Wisconsin Examiner. All that and more ahead. 2 more hours to go on these mornings powered by Up North News on the Civic Media Radio Network. I'm Pat Kreitlow. And now I'm going to go try that single-use coffee maker again without flooding the kitchen. Putting just the right amount of coffee into the cup.
I believe.
Wish me well.
I wish you much well. I believe in you.
To lash the island ever. ABC's Lionel Moise says it's expected to make landfall later today.
Melissa approaching as a Category 5 hurricane overnight with winds up to 175 miles per hour. 3 deaths already reported before the worst of the storm hits. Video from Air Force hurricane hunters shows inside the eye of Melissa, the eye wall nearly vertical. The flight forced to turn back after hitting severe turbulence. A Miami-based hurricane researcher calling it the most turbulent he's ever seen.
Amazon has announced today it is laying off 14,000 employees. The company says it is profitable, but it's looking toward the future. Online learning platform Chegg will be laying off 388 roles, 45% of its global workforce, in a restructuring that the company says is due to artificial intelligence. This is ABC News.
Farm news that impacts you and your community from the Midwest Farm Report throughout your day on 92.7 WMDX.
For 92.7 WMDX News, I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. Some Wisconsinites' healthcare premiums could skyrocket by $30,000 a year if Congress doesn't continue the Affordable Care Act tax subsidies. That program is the biggest sticking point for Democrats in the government shutdown. People who buy health insurance through the healthcare.gov marketplace can qualify for what are essentially discounts on their insurance to make it more affordable. Those discounts are set to expire at the end of the year, which would make healthcare coverage more expensive for up to 42 million Americans. Here in Wisconsin, about 313,000 people have plans they bought on the marketplace, and 88% of those qualify for some sort of tax credit. On average, those tax credits save Wisconsinites $664 a month. But leaders say costs will surge for some people. Governor Tony Evers.
A middle-class family of 4 in Wausau see their premium more than double, going from $886 a month to over $2,300 a month. A 60-year-old couple in Rice Lake making about $85,000 a year could see their premium rocket 800%. That's an annual increase of over $30,000.
And that's just for the premiums to have insurance before even thinking about things like filling prescriptions or going to the ER. Democrats in Congress say they will not agree to end the shutdown unless the tax credits will continue. Republicans have said they would consider extending the tax credits after reopening the government. Milwaukee Congresswoman Gwen Moore.
We're going to see families like this take some risks and simply drop their coverage and just cross their fingers and pray. Maybe we could just get by and show up in the emergency room if something really goes bad.
Data shows when more people are uninsured and healthcare providers, the government, and charities have to absorb these costs, everyone pays more. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson, 92.7 WMDX News.
Badgers basketball in the spotlight. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with Sports College Hoops. The Badgers men's basketball team getting ready to host Campbell University out of North Carolina next Monday night at the Kohl's Center. Wisconsin ranked 24th in the nation. Head coach Greg Gard. Are the Badgers getting some national attention at the start?
Well, I think it's always been on the national radar. Whether you're ranked or not varies from year to year and varies within the year. I think this program is very well respected nationally. I think it's been extremely stable and extremely consistent over the last 25 plus years. So whether you get ranked right away, how high you get ranked, really that's irrelevant. You still have to go play the games.
Baseball, Game 4 of the World Series continues tonight in L.A. The Dodgers winning last night over the Blue Jays 6-5 in a game that lasted 18 innings. Freddie Freeman with a walk-off home run. The Dodgers, Shohei Ohtani, getting on base 9 times, a postseason record with 2 home runs. With Sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
You're listening to 92.7 WMDX, Madison's home for the Todd Albaugh Show, weekday afternoons from 2 to 4.
It is going to be mostly cloudy today. Our high right around 59 this afternoon with wind out of the east at around 5 to 15. Tonight, scattered showers likely. Our low in the upper 30s to low 40s. Tomorrow will be mostly sunny with a high of 57. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Right now, it's 36.
Doctors Without Borders is delivering life-saving medical care where it's needed most in communities around the world. From bandaging war-wounded patients in Sudan to providing clean drinking water in Haiti, we're in more than 70 countries worldwide, bringing patients from sick to recovering, from emergency to aid, from crisis to care. This life-saving care is made possible by a global movement of supporters like you. Thank you.
Where working people come to talk. It's The Rick Smith Show, weeknights at 9 on the Civic Media Radio Network. Join me for an honest approach to the issues American working families care about. No talking points, no focus groups. Get ready for a heavy dose of democracy, fairness, grit, and no apologies. It's current affairs from a working class labor perspective. Facts are center, science is real.
Live across Wisconsin on Civic Media, you're listening to Mornings with Pat Kreitlow, powered by Up North News. Now, from our Lake Wissota studio, here is the founding editor of Up North News, Pat Kreitlow.
Hey, good morning. Welcome back. It's nice to have you here up north on a Tuesday morning, October 28th, 7:06 the time right now. I'm here in Chippewa Falls. Parker Olson is down in Madison Studio A2. Little under the weather, but fighting through it, man. He's doing it without being powered by coffee. I'm happy to report the single-serving coffee maker did its trick. I did not flood the kitchen. I have an actual second cup of coffee.
Attaboy.
Yeah, see, little victories for folks who missed it an hour ago. I broke the coffee pot early this morning, so
It happens. It happens.
yep, happy. So lucky to have the dual thing. I don't have any of the coffee pods, but was able to measure it just right with the regular ground coffee and got it. Thank you, Tony. Yes, success. I will absolutely claim that. From Rob in Tigerton, good morning. It's clear, 33 degrees in Tigerton. A beautiful day yesterday. Spent some time doing yard work and said he watched the 18-inning World Series game that lasted 6 hours and 39 minutes and lasted until after 1 a.m. And he's still up with us on the radio this morning. Thank you, Rob.
Wow.
That was obviously I didn't watch it. I woke up to news that the game went until almost midnight out on the West Coast when Freddie Freeman hit a walk-off home run in the bottom of the 18th inning. I mean, so that was like 2 games in 1. Does that mean the Dodgers are up 3-1 now? Can you count that as 2 wins? Probably not.
They wish.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I would love to be sitting here telling you, the Brewers won an epic game, 18 innings, and they're up 3-0 on the verge of a sweep. But that's a fantasy land that, that bubble burst for us a long time ago. So instead, we have to take what we've got here, and what we've got here is, an instant classic in terms of World Series games.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just glad I didn't have to sit up for that. That is impressive, and I would love to know because. I would love to have seen how many people hung around. It's a World Series game. Now, it's not a deciding game. I get that. But still, it's a World Series game. And so how many people were just like, no, it's the 14th inning. I got to go. Or it's the 15th inning. Or the people who were like in the 7th or 8th inning. Well, this is fun, but, LA traffic. I got to beat it. I got to go home.
I don't know. I bet there were a lot of people. From the clip I heard, it sounded like a lot of people.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, there's your sports there. I wish it was happier news from a Brewer standpoint, but from a sports standpoint, that is mighty impressive stuff. There's still plenty of sports to talk about. The Milwaukee Bucks will be hosting the New York Knicks tonight. Then there's the Packers. They will be hosting the Carolina Panthers next Sunday. And again, don't be alarmed, but the Packer game is Sunday at noon. When football used to be played regularly, no primetime game, no Thursday game, nothing like that. That's just straight up Packers and Panthers. Coverage begins Sunday at 10 a.m. on Civic Media stations in Richland Center, Park Falls, Racine, and Watoma. There is also college men's basketball from the Badgers. The Badgers have a preseason game against UW-Platteville tomorrow at the Kohl Center. Coverage begins at 6:30. On stations in Richland Center, Amory, and Wisconsin Rapids. And if you're familiar with Badger men's hockey on the radio, you know that it is over at WFHR in Hayward that they carry the Badger men's hockey team, and they will be playing against the Minnesota Gophers on Thursday. Coverage will begin at 7:30 on Thursday at WFHR in Wisconsin Rapids. Go to WFHR.com for more sports programs, because they don't just have some Badger sports. They have lots of Badger, talk shows. There's like the Greg Gard show and other shows that they have as well. So head over to WFHR for that. And then, of course, there's the second round of the high school football playoffs. And so those games will be on select civic media stations as well, I'm sure. So turn to your local civic media station to learn more. Did I mention the Badger football team? I didn't. How utterly unforgettable.
No, I do think they're off this week, though, to be fair.
You know what? I think you're right. I think
mercifully they're not playing.
That's, you know what? And that's why there wasn't a time, because you're right. It's actually not this weekend. It's the following weekend, November 8th at Camp Randall, when they are playing the University of Washington. So time
That's so nice.
TBD.
That's so nice that they built in a nice little, you're already in the dumpster fire. Let's not burn you anymore. Let's let you cool off a little first.
Maybe it's called a mercy rule. You're getting an extra bye week just because we can't stand to watch you. Why don't you just take a little break?
They're really letting you gear up to play Washington.
Yeah.
Might win this one. So you get 2 weeks to prepare.
So again, we try not to get too deep in the weeds on sports talk, just enough for you to like engage in a conversation at work and sound a little bit like you know what's going on. So LSU, Louisiana State University, has been a bit. Oh, Parker's about to give us a hot take on this. LSU has been a football powerhouse for the longest time, and they fired their coach, Kelly. I don't remember his first name. Brian Kelly. That's it. And he's not a terrible coach, and that's not a terrible program, but down there it's like win or else. And he's only the latest in several high-profile football coaching firings in mid-season, which used to not be a thing. But now in this NIL era where players are getting paid, there's so much more money swirling around the system, so much more pressure to perform, that you have universities this year that have been firing coaches, owing them tens of millions of dollars, and saying that that's less expensive than having a losing college football program. That's weird. There's too much money in there. That's all I got to say about that.
That is the problem with college sports, is that too much money is getting into it. On a lot of different levels. LSU, by the way, overall 5-3 this year. They're not
5-3.
Yeah,
and you fire a very expensive coach.
2-3 in conference. They're 11th place right now in the SEC. So like, I guess there's an argument there. I would argue Brian Kelly should never have been hired and probably should have been fired from Notre Dame, and probably shouldn't be allowed to coach after he basically killed the kid at Notre Dame. But
well, there is all of that.
That's just my thoughts on Brian Kelly. I don't know.
But there is a celebrity culture to coaching in the college football ranks, and he will end up somewhere else. I mean, that's just how the cycle works. Till eventually he becomes a TV analyst or something like that. Now, not everybody is into college football, and some people are happy that the NBA season is underway. Alicia puts on YouTube, I will be watching Detroit Red Wings tonight. Hockey is my jam, which is great. Tonight, by the way, is one of those full schedule nights in the NHL, all 32 teams, 16 different hockey games to choose from tonight. There will be baseball tonight. And there was baseball last night. What do they call it? The sports solstice or something, where all four leagues are in action at the same time.
Yes.
There's only 1 or 2 days a year when that's the case.
It's a beautiful day. And I would wager that there is a Conference USA football game on tonight, so you could get a little sprinkle of college football in tonight too.
Yes. So the I said solstice. No, it's the sports equinox is what's going on tonight. But you get, I mean, you get all the sports. This is if you're running like a sports bar or something, don't you like really play that up and say, come on in for our chicken wings and things like that. Tony says there's a word for it. It's magical. Yes, it's a magical sports day.
It is. It's a very big day. It's very important.
Yes. Yeah. We were talking in terms of news headlines earlier about how the costs for health insurance policies under the Affordable Care Act are about to skyrocket. And we're learning details of the extent to which that is going to happen. Again, Republicans shutting down the government to protect health insurance company profits. Now, I know there are people that disagree. There was a comment earlier that said something along the lines of, Pat, you have the stupidest take on everything. Health insurance companies only started making record profits after Obamacare was signed into law because it enabled health insurance companies to skyrocket prices since the government is paying the money. Well, that is an interesting take on how that all worked out. To say that insurance companies weren't making record profits before the Affordable Care Act came in is, again, a case of amnesia in history that continues to befuddle me, that folks have forgotten just how horrible it was before the Affordable Care Act, where you'd pay premiums of your hard-earned money all your life. You'd get sick and they'd say, oh, wait, you had a hangnail at the same time. Sorry, thanks for paying your premiums, but the insurance doesn't cover that anymore. Instead, under the Affordable Care Act, it was, we're going to use your tax dollars to make your health insurance more affordable for everybody. And health insurance companies have to take you on. They can't deny you for pre-existing conditions. But as a result, they're also going to get more customers. And yeah, they're going to make more money, but they're going to have to play by a tighter set of rules. And at first, people were like, I'm not so sure about this. Now look at the polling for the Affordable Care Act. It's off the charts because people understand how much better life is compared to then. But it was not perfect and should have been tinkered along the way. But rather than trying to make it better so that, again, health insurance is affordable for everybody, and so that there aren't these junk plans out there, Republicans just kept trying to kill it. And now we're heading back to the days of junk plans. That's when people go, hey, I never had a problem with health insurance. Well, you never needed it. Or if you did, it was for something kind of small. And yeah, the health insurance company paid out for that. But again, there were plenty of junk plans that seemed affordable until you actually had to use them. And so again, there are ways that we could be making healthcare more affordable, and then there are ways we could be making healthcare more expensive. Guess which way Republican politicians chose? Now, again, for people thinking that I'm being too mean and negative to Republicans, I simply ask this: what's the plan? What's the plan? What's the alternative? I'm so damn sick of hearing repeal and replace, repeal and replace. Where's the replacement? Repeal and replace, repeal and replace. Where's the replacement? The market. We saw what the market did. The market took your money and then said, tough hop. When you said, I've got this diagnosis and it's time for my health insurance to work. These are the things we could be doing. But here's what's happening instead. In the state of Wisconsin, if you are 60 years old, if you're a couple and your income is about $85,000 a year and you live in La Crosse County, you are currently paying $606 a month for a silver plan. I mean, that's still, that's not a small chunk of change. You're hanging on. You got 5 more years till Medicare and Social Security kick in. $600 a month, $606 to be specific. Starting Saturday, that same policy is going to cost $2,698. Do you have an extra $2,100 a month lying around? Because that's an extra $25,100 a year. If you're just a 26-year-old and maybe you've seen that there's, cancer in the family or something like that, so you don't want to think, you're not young and bulletproof, you need coverage, okay? You're in Eau Claire County, you've been getting a silver plan policy for $219 a month. Starting Saturday, it goes up to $386 a month. That's $2,000 a year. As a 26-year-old making $48,000 a year, do you have an extra $2,000 lying around? No, you don't. So if Republicans don't like the way the benefits are set up right now, they could certainly work with Democrats to come up with something more affordable, but they're not choosing that. They're choosing simply to let insurance companies jack these rates back up and let people flounder without any coverage, take a chance, and risk more medical bankruptcy. Where is the public service in that? We're going to be talking about the shutdown impact on national parks and the Apostle Islands National Lakeshore coming up. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. Why do we have to take care of people who don't want to take care of themselves? Geez Louise. Do we really have to go through this every time? Is that what you think everybody out there is doing? Everybody is out there because there's 1 or 2 examples out there. Again, it's Ronald Reagan's welfare queens. Oh, there's somebody gaming the system, so let's get rid of food stamps. We have a collective sense of throwing the baby out with the bathwater that is absolutely crazy in this country. Find a way to fix it and enforce it, instead of thinking that you are so high and mighty above all and that you're never going to get sick. The landscape is awash with people who were all about, big government's too much, until they need help. Alicia wants to know, is that seriously a comment? The majority of people are taking care of themselves with what they have. Yes. Most people who are getting SNAP right now are working, or they're elderly, or they're disabled. Oh, but they're just lazy on the couch. I pray these people are more bots than anything else, or at least stop thinking like one. Dan Hagen's here to get me in a better mood now. Dan Hagen.
Yeah,
how
what
are
you talking about? I'm doing well, Pat. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Nice.
Let's see. I'm guessing that you're not familiar with Jerry Taff, news anchor in Milwaukee, right?
I'm not. No.
Okay. I didn't think so. I wasn't going to bring it up, but just in case. So, all right. What you want to go off on anything in particular this morning to start things off?
Yeah, there's kind of an anomaly in the village of Dorchester, which is on the border of Marathon and Clark counties, and their library. So they exist in both counties, and that's kind of going to cost their library, unfortunately. The library is probably going to shut down.
Oh, okay. All right. There's the story. All right. Sounds good. We'll get going there. Actually, quickly, this past week, have you done any new hunting or anything?
Yes, I've been out many days, and I have not seen anything. But I went roller skiing twice this weekend. 116 days until the Berkey.
Gotcha. Okay. Stand by. It is 38 degrees right now here in the Chippewa Valley. Let's welcome in Dan Hagen from Newswatch 12 WJFW TV in Rhinelander. Mr. Hagen, how are you?
I am doing great, Pat. Good morning, Vietnam. I've always wanted to do that.
There you go. It's been said. How many days till the Berkey, were you telling me?
Yeah, so 116. Not that I have a calendar,
Yes, you do.
on my wall. I was able to get out roller skiing this weekend. I did 8 miles Saturday, 12 miles Sunday. And I'm actually going to go to a ski camp in British Columbia with my dad and my 2 brothers. And we're going to ski if there should be snow in late November. So I'm really excited for that and just trying to get ready.
I would bet that there would be, because I mean, I know there's snow at elevation like in Idaho, because I got photos last week from my grandsons, 19 and 11 years old, and each of them got a big old mule deer and one of them got an elk, and the photos are there. They are in the snow-covered mountaintops already. So it's coming.
I'm feeling good.
Yeah.
So can your son take me out hunting and maybe get me an elk or a deer?
That the mule deer that he dropped, and I mean, this thing was big. I didn't ask about weight, but the 11-year-old got this from 327 yards away.
Wow.
Now his
What a
dad,
shot.
to be fair, his dad is a professional hunting guide and fishing guide. So they have had years of tips and advice. They are, they're learning from the best. That's still really impressive for an 11-year-old. My dad tried to take me hunting when I was 11 years old, and I was invited to go back and wait in the truck. So, I'm very proud of the 11-year-old and the 19-year-old for being able to do that. But we're still waiting on the big one for you this season, right?
Yeah, that's right. I didn't get the benefit of my dad teaching me because my dad shot some pheasants for my mom on date number 2 or 3,
Mm-hmm.
and she did not like that. So that was the end of his hunting career.
Wow, the things we do for love.
Right.
All right. Well, okay.
He also sold his motorcycle for the engagement ring. So my dad, I wish I could have met him back then.
And now you're doing ski camp with him?
And now I'm doing ski camp with him, and now he's a
And
boring man doing Wordle and the mini crossword every morning.
and still kicking your butt, in the
Yeah.
Berkey. And yet you and I thought maybe you'd go to ski camp without him to try to, learn some tips and
Okay, here's the truth about, television, and you know this, Pat,
I do, yeah.
we ham it up a little bit, right?
Yep.
I ham it up a bit. My favorite thing to do is to ski with my dad, but the people seem to enjoy the rivalry, so I like to play it up.
Oh no, of course it's all in good fun.
Yeah.
Looking at some of the news you're covering here, and it is there's never been an easy time to be a public library. There's always budget pressures and things like that. And there's one that is on the Marathon Clark County border that is facing its own unique situation. What's the story out of Dorchester?
Yeah, so I would invite anyone to look at a map of the Clark and Marathon County border, and you'll find that there are 4 villages that exist in both counties, and it's just kind of an anomaly. But unfortunately, it's partly leading to the Dorchester Library's potential closure because more people from Marathon County come to the Dorchester Library than Clark County, and this includes sending items, to different libraries as well. But the Clark County Board of Supervisors is going to stop reimbursing libraries for materials sent to Clark County, and you might be wondering, well, why isn't Marathon County doing this? Well, it's also, not to use the word again, it's an anomaly as well. Marathon County is not doing this reimbursement because Clark County and Marathon County made a deal in 2000 that they're just about the same amount of people are using library materials from each other's counties. So let's just zero it out. But now that has become an imbalance with more and more people from Marathon County using Clark County materials. So if this new rule was in place last year, Dorchester Library would have lost $16,000. So it's reasonable to think they're going to lose another around $16,000 this year, all because of kind of this finicky rule and this finicky location of the library. So the Dorchester librarian is trying to rally people to go to the next county board meeting and see if there can be a change for this.
Well, maybe so, but also what a stinging indictment for residents of Clark County. Hey, Clark County folks, why don't you read more?
I mean, well, there's a population imbalance as well.
Okay. So it's not just that. It's something where you could, again, like anything else in politics, we just talked about this with the Affordable Care Act and everything else. You come back and revisit things. You tinker with things. You make things work. That's what government is supposed to do, not just in Congress, but even at the county board level. Yeah, we struck this deal in 2000. Let's revisit it. Let's see how it's working right now. I mean, you and I have covered enough of these things. We know that there is a deal that can be made. It's all a matter of, will these particular people, in this case, in these county boards, will they figure it out? And that's no doubt what you and your team are watching.
Yeah, and libraries, man, they're just an amazing thing, right? You can go there. There's no pressure of being sold something. It's free and it's for everyone. So yeah, important resource.
Yeah, and again, related to that would be my usual rant about shared revenue coming from the state legislature. And again, you can go to any municipal official, any county official, and they will tell you about the impact of decreased shared revenue from this legislature and the impact that it has on local property taxes and then on local services. And we'll certainly harp on that, repeatedly at other times in the future. But in our final few seconds here, you got Halloween coming up. Is Halloween a big deal for you? It's on a Friday night. Are you a candy hander outer? Are you a party goer?
I will be a party goer. I don't know if you've seen Adventure Time, but I will be going as Ice King.
Ice King from Adventure Time.
You might want to look that one up, Pat.
I was going to say you've lost me on all counts, but Parker liked it. So
I have an image in my head of what I vaguely remember that to look like.
Got it. All right, Dan Hagan, catch him on WJFW Newswatch 12 out of Rhinelander, WJFW.com. Thank you, Dan. Appreciate it.
Bye, everybody.
All right. Have a great day. And coming up next, we'll talk to Jeff Renicky from Friends of the Apostle Islands, impact of the government shutdown up north and on national parks all around the country. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. And there's Jeff, right on time. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good. I got your notes here. Thank you again for sending them. Anything new or different from when you sent them?
No, the government's still closed. We're still screwed.
Yeah, yes, they are. Okay. All right. Well, you know the drill. You already look good and sound good. So I'm going to tuck you back in the waiting room for 4.5 minutes, and then we'll get this show on the road.
Sounds great. I'll be here.
All right. See you in a bit.
Dependence on foreign labor, and that includes a Wisconsin dairy farmer. Details are on the way.
As the weather changes, it can start to impact feed quality. Don't let your cows become the victims of the ration roller coaster. Adding Generator Elite to your herd's ration can introduce beneficial microbials that support gut health and help the herd navigate the highs and lows of feed quality, all while using less than an ounce per day per cow. Learn more about Generator Elite at bio-vet.com.
Innovation, that's BioVet.
John Rosenau is a Wisconsin dairy farmer that is a part of the Grow It Here movement. He has a dairy operation in the Wamedy Valley, western Wisconsin, outside of Fountain City, that depends heavily on agriculture labor from outside of our borders. And Rosenau says he wants to stress how unique dairy is versus seasonal crop production labor needs. He said the H-2A visa work now isn't working.
The dairy industry has been asking Congress and asking the federal government for years to modernize the immigration system, because dairy is specifically excluded from having H-2A employees. And so we rely on immigrants. And right now in Wisconsin, about 90% of the milk that's harvested every day from the cows that are here in the dairy, Wisconsin, or in America's dairy land, is harvested by immigrants. Without these immigrants, we would struggle. Well, we wouldn't exist, basically, and we wouldn't want to exist either.
Straightforward words from John Rosenau. He is a dairy producer in western Wisconsin, Cochrane, Fountain City. He said he's got 18 employees on his Wisconsin dairy. 13 are from Mexico. This new movement, again, called the Grow It Here campaign.
From sugar beet fields to dairy facilities, producers count on an operating line of credit from Ag Country Farm Credit Services to help make their operations more profitable. With multi-year commitment options, digital tools and remote deposit, and the ability to only borrow what you need when you need it, our operating line of credit makes financing your needs easier. Visit agcountry.com/line of credit or call 800-450-9858 to learn more. Terms apply. See website for details.
And good news from Indianapolis, where the 98th annual National FFA Convention is getting underway. Wisconsin's National FFA officer candidate, Alyssa Schauer from East Troy, will be advancing to the next round of interviews. I'm Pam Yankee.
92.7 WMDX, Madison's real news and great conversation, and home to the Todd Allball Show, Monday through Friday from 2 to 4.
It is going to be mostly cloudy today. Our high right around 59 this afternoon, with wind out of the east at around 5 to 15. Tonight, scattered showers likely. Our low in the upper 30s to low 40s. Tomorrow will be mostly sunny with a high of 57. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Current temp now 37.
Hey, Gordy, I gotta admit, these hearing aids from Madison Hearing Aid Center changed my life.
Mine too, John. I thought I needed subtitles to talk to my grandkids.
And these aren't those old giant clunkers we saw in the old days. It's got Bluetooth, it's rechargeable, the works.
Yeah, my phone connects straight to my ears. I'm basically a cyborg now.
Hey, you just figured out texting last year, too.
Yeah, baby steps. But I did call Madison Hearing Aid Center, and you should too. 608-249-4077.
608-249-4077. Tell them John and Gordy sent you.
No fear here, just monster savings at Verlo Mattress of Madison. This October, the only thing creeping near your bed is a deal too good to miss. We custom make every mattress so you know exactly what's inside. No tricks, just treats. Save hundreds on mattresses, foundations, headboards, sheets, and more.
30 seconds until we're back.
Welcome back at 7:35 on a Tuesday morning, October 28th. Nice to have you along. Hey, get signed up for our Up North News daily newsletter. Head over to upnorthnewswi.com. Click subscribe in the banner at the top of the homepage. Included in today's edition is a link to my story about the Trump administration giving a big old no to Wisconsin for some of the disaster relief that was applied for following massive flash flooding in August in southeast Wisconsin, where some places got more than a foot of rain. And there was all kinds of damage done to houses. And so individual disaster relief had been approved. But the Trump administration rejected Wisconsin's application on behalf of 6 counties for infrastructure damage that was caused to public buildings and roads and bridges and things like that. And you might say, well, that's fine. I mean, as long as the individuals got their disaster relief for their homes, who cares about the infrastructure stuff? Well, it's still got to be fixed, which means that instead of it being, helped, instead of some of it being paid for in part by the federal government, it means it's all going to fall on local taxpayers or state and local taxpayers, as the case may be. So you can read more about that in our newsletter. Again, sign up at upnorthnewswi.com. All right, time to go way up north, as we do this time every other Tuesday. And this time around, we're getting to know our friend Jeff Renicky from Friends of the Apostle Islands to talk about the government shutdown and its impact on our national parks. Jeff, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Pat. Always good to be here. I wish we'd have some good news on national parks some morning.
I really, we're going to get there again. But right now we've been dealt this hand, which deals with a government shutdown and letting people know of the impact, here in Wisconsin and beyond. So I guess the best way just to start is to ask from a general standpoint, as you look at things across the country, how are our national parks faring during the shutdown so far?
Our national parks are a very diverse collection of landscapes, as you know, from mountaintops to deep canyons, from seashores to, deserts. And so it's not surprising, I don't think, that the impact of the shutdown is hitting different parks in different ways. And it didn't help so much that the Department of Interior sent out kind of a confusing contingency plan for parks literally only hours before the shutdown. And in that contingency plan, it told parks that while the National Park Service will be conducting no park operations and offering no visitor services, the outdoor areas, trails, exhibits, and overlooks will remain generally accessible to visitors. So in other words, most of the buildings in national parks are closed, visitor centers, museums, that sort of things. You can still maybe get to the trails. Bathrooms may be locked. Trash pickup may not be happening. In some parks, it's become really a free-for-all because of the lack of emergency services and search and rescue. In one park, an American flag was hung upside down in the distress symbol of our national parks. So it's not a good situation in our parks right now.
No, I mean, and it leads not only to maybe trash piling up and programs not being run, but safety concerns and also concerns about damage. Have there been any reports of damage with the the lack of rangers in the parks?
Unfortunately, yes. I mean, you have to put it in perspective that some 9,000 National Park Service employees have been laid off. These are often the frontline people that would be out there keeping an eye on things. So there's examples like squatters coming into national park campgrounds, ignoring the time limits and just setting up home. There's illegal base jumping going on in Yosemite, some off-roading situations in various national parks. And the situation is expected only to get worse. During the last extended shutdown, there were things like rock art panels that were vandalized at Big Bend. Joshua trees were toppled in that park. Our parks don't run themselves. Leaving the gates open with no rangers inside is a very strange way to run a business. When you think about it, the National Zoo is closed. The Smithsonian Institute museums are closed, the Air and Space Museum. And when you would ask why, they would probably say, well, there's nobody inside to protect the resources. Well, there's nobody inside to protect the resources of our national parks either. And that's a situation that could lead to disaster.
That is That is such a perfect way of looking at it. I mean, you wouldn't leave the museums and things open and say, well, we just trust you to be good with the paintings and not let the trash cans overflow. So has it led to any kind of formal call to close up some of these parks so that they stay protected?
It's a difficult decision. Everybody understands that. People love our national parks, they're economic engines. Even this time of year, some parks like Shenandoah National Park, the Great Smokies, and others, they get up to 25% of their visitation in October because people coming to check out the beautiful fall colors. So it's a very difficult decision. But most people in the field say they should be closed when there aren't rangers. There was recently a group of 40 national park former superintendents and directors who sent a letter to the Secretary of Interior asking that the parks be shut down, and another letter by 450 former rangers saying that this can't go on. The parks are too fragile without the folks who are hired to take care of the parks inside of them. Our parks simply won't run themselves, and some of the parks have shut down. The iconic Carlsbad Caverns National Park, the caves there are protected, Muir Woods, White Sands, they're pretty much shut down. But in the meantime, others remain open and therefore vulnerable.
So let's take it a little closer to home, and we're talking to Jeff Renicky from Friends of the Apostle Islands, and let's talk about the Apostle Islands National Lakeshore up north here. And again, it's maybe not an apples to apples comparison with some of our national parks, but I have a feeling the shutdown still has impact, even at a place like that that is a little more, seasonal in its operations. What's happening up there?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Our park is very seasonal. So if you were to come here as a visitor right now, you would find the visitor center in Bayfield closed, the visitor center at Little Sand Bay closed, but then they always close. It wasn't because of the shutdown, it was because of the seasonal nature of visitation. But that doesn't mean that things are fine in the park. Think of all the things that go on behind the scenes in that visitor center. There's no park planning going on. There's no staff training. There's no hiring going on. There's no cataloging of artifacts. There's no continuing wildlife research. There's an awful lot that happens at our parks that people don't see to make them run as smoothly as they do when there are a lot of visitors there. So just because a park isn't necessarily looking a lot different doesn't mean that there's not damage going on behind the scenes. We need to get our parks open and funded or close them down.
Now, Jeff, there's a website, friendsoftheapostleislands.org, and you recently wrote a story for the website about the government shutdown and the things that you might or might not see at the Apostle Islands National Lakeshore. And you address the construction of a Myers Beach accessible walkway project. What is happening with that?
Yeah, that's another good example. So Friends of the Apostle Islands, with the help of more than 500 donors and sponsors, raised almost $800,000 to be part of our commitment to help the park be more accessible to all. And so we got approval to replace the 45-step stairway down to the popular Myers Beach kayak launch with a all accessible ramp. It's all paid for. It's all ready to go. All we need is a rubber stamp from the Park Service. Unfortunately, the Park Service is closed, and so that rubber stamp won't happen until it reopens. And up here, we have a very short construction season. So every day that goes by may limit our ability to get that done in one season. So things don't stand still just because the park is closed.
So you'd wanted to start this next spring and finish it by next fall, and
that would be the plan. Yeah. And that's not going to happen if we can't get it out to contractors for bids and have them poised to go as soon as the weather is decent.
Yeah. Again, like in all these things that Jeff is pointing out, there are plenty of things that happen behind the scenes that aren't going on right now as well. There's also the case where, again, because there's no staffing and people are still going into these areas, they're not paying the fees that they would normally pay. But there are some folks that still understand that without the fees, there won't be support for the upkeep, for the programs, for the maintenance, and everything else. So are there still ways that people could pay fees voluntarily if they choose to use or visit some parks?
Many parks do have internet accessible scanning of a QR code to pay, and we would urge people to do that. You can make a donation to groups like friendsoftheapostleislands.org, which might be equal to your entrance fee, to help us support the parks. And almost every park in the country has a friends group like ours. So there's still a way to love your parks and help your parks, even if you're not paying those entrance fees. And remember that that's losing money for the park. 80% of that money stays in the park that you're visiting. The other 20% is spread out to parks like the Apostle Islands that don't have an entrance fee. So when you don't pay your entrance fee, it hurts not only the park you're visiting, but all of our national parks. So let's all help each other by making contributions in any way we can.
And can that still be done through the usual website, recreation.gov?
It can that can be campsite fees. They're usually paid through recreation.gov. Each park, as I mentioned, is unique and different. Look for a QR code or look for a friends of group and see if you make a donation that way.
Okay. I'm sure you mentioned earlier search and rescue operations, and not even just the operations, but the training. Are emergency services being impacted by the shutdown?
Well, and also communication. One of the biggest things about staying safe in our national park is understanding what the threats are, what the weather is going to be, when it's safe to go to someplace, when someplace might be closed. But the irony is, at the time when park visitors need communication the most, the entire communication staff of our parks has also been furloughed. And so there's no one to ask, is it safe to go here? If I need help, who do I contact? Are the campgrounds open? It's just radio silence from our national parks, and that puts everyone in danger.
Yeah, and Jeff has talked about earlier, again, some of the other things that aren't being done, like school programs, interpretive program preparations, cataloging of historical artifacts. But there are things that, you can do to be helpful. And I took note of one that you said here, supporting local businesses. Even if you can't or don't normally go into one of these areas, those local businesses would still appreciate some visitors.
Oh, absolutely. Most national park units are economic engines. People come here and they spend money. They buy gas on the way here. They stay at hotels. They eat at restaurants. They visit gift shops. Without those visitors coming in, many of these national park related businesses have a difficult time. It's a huge audience. Our National Park Service budget here for our lakeshore is about $3.4 million. And yet we return some $29 million to the local economy. And so it's a real engine for our local businesses. So come up here, enjoy Bayfield, enjoy the National Lakeshore parks that are open, do that responsibly, do that safely, come here prepared to be self-sufficient, practice low-impact camping and leave no trace principles, and go visit some of the local shop owners. They will really appreciate it.
And learn more at friendsoftheapostleislands.org. Jeff Reinecke, thank you so much. Appreciate the update.
Thank you for the opportunity.
You bet. Have a great day. And coming up in our next hour, we'll talk to Cam Stevenson live from Washington, D.C. from Courier Newsroom, and then Ruth Kana from the Wisconsin Examiner. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
Media app. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
This portion of the John and Gordy Show is brought to you by Madison Hearing Aid Center, 4706 Cottage Grove Road in Madison, helping people change their lives by improving their hearing. They offer fast and flexible appointments with individual
today.
Oh, good. Glad that I did not stay up for that World Series games. I called it in the 7th inning after the Shohei double.
Ah, okay. Yep. That's when I would have, except that, I went to bed even earlier.
Yeah. Morning shows. What are you going to do?
Yeah. Tony, yes, everyone should visit Bayfield, and you should all ask when you get up there, where's Tony from the radio? And they'll know whatever gas station you stop at. or the local, county jail. They'll know. They'll go, oh yeah, Tony, you'll find him over there. So, boy, we have an interesting comment section some mornings, I got to tell you. All right. All right. Just over 2 minutes and then we'll get things going again.
Cool.
It's always Facebook.
Yes, it is.
Called Expanding the Divide. It might be worth revisiting that series and considering how unnecessary and expensive an extra lane is, and how in southeastern Wisconsin we're going to be dealing with construction and delays for the next 8 years in order to shave a few minutes off suburban commute times while the city streets and city problems go ignored once again.
Find all of Dan's work at the Recombobulation area.
Cranberry juice, cranberry wine, cranberry brats, cranberry cream puffs. And excuse me, but my cranberry bread is ready. It's cranberry season in Wisconsin, and we're the cranberry capital of not just the U.S., but our farmers also produce more than half of the world's cranberry supply. So can you guess which state Wisconsin beat out to earn the #1 spot? New Jersey, Washington State, Massachusetts? The answer coming up. Fall is harvest time, and you can see the machines rolling through the marshlands, which are flooded to help the cranberries float to the top. But it hasn't always been this easy. Back in the mid-1800s, the berries had to be picked by hand. It took another 100 years for the right equipment to be built to help with this harvest. Okay, so Wisconsin owns the cranberry capital title, but which state lost it to us? Massachusetts, which has been #2 ever since. By the way, the cranberry is the official state fruit, making it a true slice of Wisconsin. I'm Terry Barr for the Civic Media Radio Network.
Seems like nobody in America agrees on much of anything these days.
But can we agree the federal government shouldn't tax people into poverty?
If you work full-time, you should be able to afford your basic needs. Don't you think? We're the patriotic million.
30 seconds until we're
Still hanging at 38 degrees here in the Chippewa Valley, where we are joined by James Kelly from the Civic Media Newsroom here in the Chippewa Valley with some of the news and notes that he's following across western and northern Wisconsin. James, how are you?
I'm good. The cold weather has officially set in. Not thrilled about that.
No, and it's not gonna, it only gets worse from here. But someday, James, you will be looking and going, remember when I was grousing and it was 38 degrees? Wouldn't it be great if it was that warm again?
Yeah,
I can't
when it's
wait
negative
for
38.
Yes, I can't wait for it to be 38 degrees again. We'll get to that before you know it. All right, on that happy thought, let's see what you're covering here. As we've been covering the healthcare crisis across this country, across rural Wisconsin, there's been a specific healthcare crisis in the Chippewa Valley after a couple of hospitals closed down. It has made things much more expensive around here. And so when the Office of Commissioner of Insurance, through Governor Evers, responded to the potential of what could happen with the government shutdown, it appears that the Chippewa Valley is kind of going to take it in the shorts here. And the governor made clear to make note of that in yesterday's release, James.
Yeah, it's the Chippewa Valley can't seem to catch a break when it comes to the healthcare field these days. This is, on top of the increased premiums, which I know you covered some of these stats earlier, but in Eau Claire, family of four, the monthly premiums jumping $2,000 yearly, $24,000 for the silver plan. For 60-year-old couples, it's $400 to $3,100 a month for over $32,000 a year extra. This is on top of the hospital closures, just the overall lack of access to things like delivery services, mental health services that's come in the wake of the HSHS closures. We do have a lot of the new hospitals that are still in the works, but if they're opening up to a healthcare field that looks the way it does right now, they could run into some similar problems that HSHS ran into with inadequate reimbursements.
It is so odd. Kind of puzzling here in the Chippewa Valley because it has been a healthcare hub for the longest time. that folks from all over, the northwestern quarter of Wisconsin would come to Eau Claire. It's got the School of Nursing here. It's got the hospitals that were here. And yet now this is a market that seems to be struggling, perhaps more than the others, and is going to struggle even more with these insurance premiums going up the way that they are if things stay the way that they are. So it's no wonder the governor made sure to highlight Eau Claire County as seeing a particular impact because of the government shutdown. Let's head over to Dunn County now and talk about a group that's looking to benefit from some donations around Thanksgiving time.
Yeah, to talk even more about the ongoing federal government shutdown, obviously the food share benefits are going to be hit or miss over the next few weeks. We're still trying to figure out what we're going to do about that funding. In the meantime, organizations like Stepping Stones of Dunn County, they're doing their usual Thanksgiving drives, collecting whole turkeys, mashed potatoes, stuff like that. It's likely going to see an increase in demand in the area for food pantry services, things like that, with food share benefits going out the window. So they're hoping to provide at least 600 households in the area with a hot Thanksgiving meal this year. And we'll see what we're doing with the rest of the food industry here.
Do you know, is there a way for folks to help directly at this point? Do we know how to?
Yes, they can send their donations directly to Stepping Stones of Dunn County or drop them off at their location on Stout Road in Menominee.
Gotcha. Okay. Sounds good. And let's see, what do we got here? Is this Healthy Washington County? What is this?
Healthy Washburn. Yeah.
Oh, Washburn. I'm like, Washington County. Wait a minute. We're getting way far away. No,
yeah,
Washburn.
not quite the right area. This is in Washburn County.
Let's stick to this part of the state, Pat. Okay. Healthy Washburn County. Go for it.
Yeah, they're going to be hosting some mental health training sessions over the month of November. The first one's going to be next Saturday, November 7th, from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Washburn County Services Building. That is more geared towards youth mental health training. So they're looking for area adults who work with kids, teachers, child care providers, stuff like that, to provide them with some additional training on how to respond to a child who's in a mental health crisis. It's a very difficult thing to respond to, especially with children, maybe don't have the easiest time processing and explaining the emotions that they're going through in the time. So being able to recognize those signs and being able to do something about it makes a really big difference.
Oh my goodness. Yes. This sounds extremely valuable. Is there, again, at your fingertips, do you have a way for people to learn more about that?
They can email the people at the Healthy Washco or Washburn County, or they can give them a call at Healthy Washco. Those numbers and emails are available online. And there's also going to be a second training later in November for adults who are having mental health crises.
Okay, sounds good. From Walt on Facebook, thanks for your work. As one just can't find what's happening in the rural communities in the Northwest. Keep up the great work. That's awfully nice. Thank you, Walt. And
I do appreciate that.
And if you want to follow what James is doing, you head over. He covers this all on 93.5 The Tap here in the Chippewa Valley. That's WCFW HD2. And you can also see current headlines, weather, upcoming local sports, and all of that at thetap.fm. So again, for 93.5 The Tap, go to thetap.fm and find the local homepage for the station there. And I will try to do a better job on the abbreviations here next time, James, because the funny thing is, my first job out of college was a radio station in Rice Lake. And so I abbreviated Washburn County as Washco. And then I went to go work for a station in West Bend, which is in Washington County. And so I abbreviated that as Washco. And to this day, when I see BCO, I still think Barron County, because that's how I abbreviated Barron County in all my reporter notes all those years. And I keep getting burned going, oh, no, that's Brown County. Brown County likes to, use BC as their abbreviations there.
Oh, that's one of the benefits of not being from around the area. I use the proper name for everything. We don't want to make any mistakes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then your handwriting is a lot better than mine, and that's much appreciated. James Kelly, follow him at 93.5 The Tap, thetap.fm. Thank you, James, very much. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Have a good one.
All right. Coming up in our next hour, we will, of course, talk to Cam Stevenson. He's out there in the nation's capital. And, we're going to ask if he knows anything more about the shutdown or about the destruction of the White House, because only one of those has clearly had any work done lately. And then later we'll talk to Ruth Conniff, editor-in-chief of the Wisconsin Examiner. All that and more coming up after your local news at the top of the hour. I'm Pat Kreitlow from Up North News. You can follow what we're doing at upnorthnewswi.com and sign up for our newsletters there. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. Back in a bit.
He read the teas.
He read the teas. He can be taught. Now we add Cameron here, and we get him to turn the phone just like so. There he is. And now we can't hear him because he's got to unmute himself, but he'll get there.
In streamer.
There we go.
There. Hey, how are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Good. You sound a little faint there. Parker, what do you think it is?
Can you talk again real quick?
Test 1, 2, 3.
Okay, let's have you adjust your lav mic. Bring it up a bit, please.
Oh, yeah. Let's get this nice and close. How's that? Is that better?
Maybe. Can you adjust it up or no?
Can you adjust your gain on the lav mic at all?
You got it. Let's see. How's that? Got it.
Not much better.
A little bit, not much. All right, let me do a little bit more. I'll just keep talking. Is that better?
Hey, that's better.
Getting there.
Getting there.
Keep
All right,
rolling.
let's put it up to 3. How's a +3 sound?
That's pretty good.
Good. Okay. I'll
Yeah,
remember that. This, keep it at 3. Got it.
All right.
One of these days, we'll get it without needing to touch anything.
Exactly. That's what I'm dreaming for.
All right. So what you got going on?
Well, I have stopped by the what was the East Wing a couple times. If you want some updates on that.
Yes.
Lots of cops, lots of covering so you can't see it, and lots of like surrounding area closed off.
Okay.
And then I did like a breakdown of like the different things that the government's spending money on while it's shut down, like the ballroom and the Argentine bailout and all these things while Snap's about to go out and, a million federal workers aren't getting paid. So
Yeah, exactly. Okay. All right. Sounds good. We got stuff to get started. We'll get going in 4 minutes here.
Is there any chance that you can go horizontal with your camera?
I had it like that for some reason.
Somehow you got your lock. There's a
Is-
lock setting that needs to be altered.
Yeah, check on your phone.
There it is.
All right, user error. That's my bad.
No, that's all right. We got it. Hey, there's a little bit more there. So you see a plant. Okay.
Yeah, these are my plants from Arizona. Someone helped me kind of like pack them for the drive.
Okay.
And they weren't like the botany. I don't know, whoever he was at the greenhouse. He wasn't sure if they'd make it. But look at this. They're doing better than ever.
I know you got some green to go with your green. Okay.
Yeah, let's balance it out.
And what's that over your head there?
Oh, this came with the place. I don't know what that is.
Okay, well,
I thought it was like a weird fishing rod or something.
I thought it was like a
be.
peace pipe. I don't know. It could have been all kinds of things.
We might have to take that for a spin and see which one of those it does.
I love it. All right. Sounds good. All right. I'll see you in a little bit.
Cool.
Absorb these costs, everyone pays more. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson, 92.7 WMDX News.
It's the Bucks and the Knicks. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with Sports NBA. The Bucks host the New York Knicks. Milwaukee coming off a disappointing loss in Cleveland, 118-113 to fall to 2-1. Bucks center Miles Turner.
Being new to this group, my key messaging to everybody was like, you have to look forward, to playing from behind. It's the NBA, stuff's gonna happen. At times you're gonna find yourself in unfortunate positions, but I just think it's very important that, if we want to be, a playoff caliber team or a championship caliber team, we gotta, really embrace, being down. And I think we did a good job of that in that third quarter. And there's no excuses in this league. It doesn't matter who's out there. We all lace them up and try to go out there and compete.
Baseball, Game 4 of the World Series tonight in Los Angeles. The Dodgers leading the series 2-1 over the Blue Jays after winning last night 6-5. The game went past midnight. The Dodgers' Freddie Freeman with a walk-off home run in the bottom of the 18th inning to win the game. With Sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
Mad City, biking through blizzards since forever. 92.7 WMDX.
It is going to be mostly cloudy today. Our high right around 59 this afternoon with wind out of the east at around 5 to 15. Tonight, scattered showers likely. Our low in the upper 30s to low 40s. Tomorrow will be mostly sunny with a high of 57. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Right now, it's 39.
As veterans, we're no strangers to helping others.
That's what we were taught, service before self.
But we do have one question for the veterans listening.
When was the last time you reached out for help?
If you or someone you know needs resources, whether it's for stress, finances, employment, or mental health, don't wait. Reach out.
Find more information at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
What's going on with Earl Ingram?
The No Kings rallies across this nation, they reminded me of, it was an organization called the Tea Party. Senior citizens were a part of the Tea Party. And there are a lot of senior citizens involved in the No Kings rallies.
Listen to the Civic Media exclusive podcast, What's Going On with Earl Ingram. Find the podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Maggie Dawn.
At 5 o'clock, I talk with Chicago.
20 seconds.
Live across Wisconsin on Civic Media, you're listening to Mornings with Pat Kreitlow, powered by Up North News. Now, from our Lake Wissota studio, here is the founding editor of Up North News, Pat Kreitlow.
Hey, good morning. Nice to have you back here up north at 8:06 on a Tuesday morning, October 28th. Cam Stevenson from Courier Newsroom is standing by, and Ruth Conniff from the Wisconsin Examiner will be joining us in our next half hour. Along the way, feel free to join us at 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842, or use that Civic Media app to call us, to text us, to leave us a voice note, or just come say hello or ask a question in the comment sections of Facebook or YouTube, where you can watch the show. That would be the Up North News Facebook and YouTube pages, or the Civic Media Facebook and YouTube pages, and let us know your thoughts about what's going on. That includes in the nation's capital, where you can always learn more through Cam Stevenson's Below the Beltway newsletter. Sign up at beltway.news or through couriernewsroom.com for dispatches from Capitol Hill. His latest notes that an elections lawsuit could lead to the Epstein files being made public or kept hidden, and the case was just handed to a Trump-appointed judge. One of many things we will be asking Cam about as he joins us now from Washington, D.C. Cam Stevenson, good morning. How are you?
Hey, Pat, good morning. I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm good. I see the temporary housing is coming along nicely. There's now a plant.
Yeah. Our plants are doing well. The furnishings that came with it are really bringing the place together. Trying to find some more green to add to the
Yes, well, you see, it's flourishing, unlike, say the East Wing of the White House. Have you wandered out to see the wrecking crew in action?
As best as I could. It's a very interesting, I guess at best, and depressing at worst scene over there, in the sense that normally around the White House it's a very public space. People can walk around, and there's green areas and park benches and statues and all these sort of things you can walk by and kind of walk through living history. But that's not really how it's set up anymore. Once the Trump administration somehow realized after the fact how bad it looked that they were taking bulldozers to the section of the White House, they not only blocked off that part visibly, with high covered fences so you couldn't see, they also started to block off the surrounding walkways, some of the little park areas and places where people used to just kind of sit and have their lunch. And so I was able to find a few spots to get a vantage point where I could see what was going on. Not much anymore. It's just a pile of rubble. They, the White House, they found a loophole that said that they didn't need any permits to tear things down, but they do need permits and, zoning permissions to put things up. And so now it is just down for the foreseeable future.
Of course it is. Of course, the loophole didn't work the way they fully intended. And regardless, as things are needing to be demolished and then needing to be rebuilt, these things cost money. It just seems an interesting way to allocate resources when we're not allocating resources to things like healthcare, feeding families, things like that. You've been looking at the numbers.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I think on the one hand, it's very hypocritical for the administration to say that the ballroom is being paid for by donations, and so that's a non-issue. But then we're also taking donations to fund our military during the shutdown. I think that's just an odd dichotomy. But we can't take donations for SNAP benefits so kids can eat at school, or so that the million plus federal workers working without pay right now could actually get a paycheck. But yeah, I found through I was investigating how these donations were going to the ballroom, and found that even though they are donations from outside private organizations, we as taxpayers are still paying for that because they're going through a 501c3 nonprofit. I believe it's called the Foundation of the National Mall Trust.
Okay.
But it's the Trust of the National Mall. It's a nonprofit, which means the millions of dollars people are donating, they'll get it as a tax write-off next year. And so, and we're the ones who pay for those.
So they make the donation, they get the tax write-off. We still end up paying the bill for this.
Yes. And for all we know, there's not really going to be a ballroom. There's no actual plans. There's only these moldings that the president likes to show off. There's no blueprints. There's no schematics. And this would take a lot of planning because there are also tunnels underground, safety tunnels, security measures, bunker facilities. You can't just slap a few pieces of plywood on it and call it a ballroom.
I recall, showing my age now, but once upon a time, there was going to be a new U.S. embassy in Moscow. And they finally had to tear the building down because they realized that throughout the construction, it was being riddled with listening devices and other literal spyware. And I am just suspicious enough of Trump's ties to Putin and the secrecy involved that whoever the next president is, and we all keep praying there will be a next president, that thing is going to need some serious review once Trump is out of office to make sure that, well, first off, the place is going to need a good decontamination, but that includes for, any electronic surveillance and things like that, not necessarily to benefit, Russia, but to benefit, Trump personally, corporate donations, corporate donors, things like that. The whole thing just stinks to high heaven. And it is all, and yet, despite all of those concerns, it remains a distraction from things that should have more significance, not just reopening the federal government, but things like the Epstein files. And that leads us to an article that you have at beltway.news about how a lawsuit about elections could lead to the Epstein files being made public or kept hidden, and an interesting choice of which judge got the case here, Cam.
Yeah, of all the judges in D.C., we get the Federalist Society one. But this is the case with Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva. She was elected to be in Congress over a month ago. Speaker Mike Johnson has refused to swear her in and seat her. He's made up a bunch of different reasons and excuses. The main thing is that there's no reason for her not to be sworn in. And one of the reasons people are speculating, and the longer it goes, the more likely it looks like, is that she would be the final vote to force the release of the Epstein files to the public.
And the speaker, I mean, to put it charitably, is wrong, or to be less charitable, making stuff up in terms of reasons not to swear her in, reasons why they can't use supplemental USDA funds to pay for SNAP benefits, and a host of other things. I mean, if there is a poster child for Congress essentially abdicating its responsibilities, it's whatever comes out of Speaker Mike Johnson's mouth.
And that seems like that's exactly what he's doing, is essentially not working for the people, but just finding ways to strengthen the executive branch, specifically under Trump. Even like what you said, the refusal to pay for SNAP benefits or finding some way to fund certain programs, while praising the Trump administration for using private donors to fund other parts of the federal government. That's a type of corporatism that we saw under Mussolini, where they used corporations to fund certain things that benefited this nationalist ideal of what a government should be.
Oh, and in Hungary in this day and era, again, part of Viktor Orban's rise to power hasn't been direct government takeover of things like media and other groups and institutions, but through, again, very wealthy friends who then, quote unquote, donate those facilities, for the government to use. Well, as long as the government is in the hands of their buddy, their pal. And, again, we should not be normalizing that here. So the elections lawsuit is there. It's a Trump appointed judge who's going to look at it. Court date coming up in a couple of days yet this week, right?
Yep. It's the first appointment set for it is on the 30th. I've reached out. The lawsuit is by Adelita Grijalva and then the state of Arizona through their Attorney General, Chris Mays. I reached out to Attorney General Mays' office, and they will be here on the 30th. And so I'm coordinating to see if I'm I probably won't be allowed in the courtroom. They usually don't allow press in for these meetings, but I'll definitely be outside, and we'll be giving updates as to what happens next.
All right. So you can get updates on that at beltway.news for the Below the Beltway newsletter. In Wisconsin yesterday, we had an interesting release by Governor Tony Evers and the Wisconsin Office of the Commissioner of Insurance, giving specific numbers on just how high health insurance premiums are going to go starting Saturday, the date when open enrollment begins for health insurance policies under the Affordable Care Act in the marketplace. I don't want to reduce all of this to messaging, Democratic messaging versus Republican messaging. The fact of the matter is that message coming from Democrats like Governor Evers is based in real numbers that says this is going to be the real impact of this government shutdown and Republicans protecting corporate insurance profits rather than trying to make healthcare more affordable. What's your assessment of whether that kind of messaging is happening from Democrats in DC, or are they more stuck in process, or are they basically, are they silent? What is it that's happening in terms of communicating the shutdown in DC this week?
Yeah, so mainly what Democrats are doing is they've been traveling back and forth between DC to try and pressure Republicans to come back, and then also traveling back to their home districts to let people know what's going on. And their messaging throughout the shutdown, I feel like, has been fairly consistent. But it's one of those things where it almost requires a slow burn because, they can say that premiums are going to go up. And there's a certain segment of the population that's going to believe them and a certain segment of the population that isn't. And then another bigger segment that doesn't hear them at all because they don't listen. They don't want to hear from politicians. But the one thing everyone will hear from is their insurance company. It doesn't matter what the message is. When I get my paycheck and there's $300 fewer in it because my healthcare premiums have gone up, that speaks louder than anything anyone, Speaker Johnson can say at a podium or what, a member of Congress can say in a town hall.
No, it's extremely true. And much like the last shutdown came to an end in 2019, only after there were enough air traffic controllers who didn't come in and the flight delays began piling up, and we're hearing the rumblings of that happening now. And I'm not saying it's going to be air travel again. It may just be the health insurance premiums, but you're right, Cam. It's that slow burn of real life impact. And then people either calling their congressman's office or, showing up at meetings and saying, that's enough of this. And Republicans still think enough of that pressure is going to be on Democrats to be the ones to cave. And I from my standpoint here in Wisconsin, I'm not seeing any signs of that yet. I mean, Democrats definitely feel like they're on the they've got the moral high ground in this.
Yeah. And I think one of the biggest problems is again, these information bubbles that we all live in, Democrats and Republicans, but we're seeing it especially that Republicans under this current administration are intensely online. They'd rather post memes and make fun of people on social media rather than meet with constituents. That's something that it takes something more drastic to break through. And I think people running out of food, it could do that. And I think people not being able to travel during the holidays, and coupled with the fact that the National Guard won't even get to go home for the holidays because they're stuck.
Yeah.
You know, we've seen bread riots in the past. I think we might be looking at some turkey riots.
Could be watch for that. Cam Stevenson, go to beltway.news for more. Thank you, Cam. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. And we will have Ruth Connor from the Wisconsin Examiner coming up in just a bit. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. There we go. We're in break. All right. Nailed it. All right.
It just goes by too fast.
It really does. You know, but you are becoming a master of the radio clock. So.
Yeah, you've shown well nothing like a finger waving.
I figure if you've either got the seconds displayed or the twirling finger of fate. So either way, we get her done. All right, Cam. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Have a good day. See ya.
Back in the game. We have a big shoe today. We have Zerlina Maxwell.
Oh yeah,
Nope.
different clock. Yep. We're gonna need something else for commercial breaks.
I know.
Although we've learned now that if we play a little bit of music underneath, it gets all garbled. So
we could do non-licensed.
Well, I'm certainly good with that.
Yeah. There you go.
We need things that, you know, when you've got this tranquil up north look, you know, that there's just some nice music, maybe some loon calls, you know, underneath. Yeah.
You have a good loon impression?
No, but maybe, you know, some audio clips of Tony going, "Where's my beer?" You know, just things like that. Things you would hear up north. Perfect. There. You do that with your hands?
I can try if you want me to.
No, that's okay. No need. Yeah. No, Tony's saying I would request some turkey calls. Yes,
turkey calls.
Yep. Especially this time of year.
Oh yeah. Nope, that is not the turkey call I was looking for.
There we go.
This is better than a drum roll.
Some health information news you can use from Wisconsin pediatrician Dr. Kelly Snooks in her video series Raising Wisconsin. Look for that over at the Up North News social media feeds on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And again, 855-75-CIVIC if you'd like to reach the show, especially between now and the bottom of the hour. And then after that, we will welcome in Ruth Connor from the Wisconsin Examiner, 855-752-4842, or send us a text or a voice note using the Civic Media app. With the upcoming cut of SNAP nutritional benefits to all kinds of families, working families, families of people with disabilities, the elderly, and all of that, there's been a lot of talk that food banks are going to get busier. But here's the thing. They can't keep up with that many more people who are suddenly in need of enough food to put on the table. Food banks fill a role, but they were never meant to be a substitute for an entire national program. Now we've learned that job is even tougher for food banks because the Trump administration, starting back in May, as we're just learning now from ProPublica, the Trump administration abruptly cut $500 million in food delivery for food banks and other organizations across the country. It was all part of something called the Emergency Food Assistance Program. It was a way that surplus material from farms could be used for food banks. But between May and September across the 50 states, more than 4,000 deliveries of food have been canceled. all told, 94 million pounds of food or more is probably going to waste rather than being delivered to these food pantries. Now, it was already outrageous enough when the Trump administration abruptly cut funding to USAID. And once again, food was left to go to waste rather than going to starving children. And I know some people don't like to hear this, and other people do understand it, but they still don't like to have to think about the fact that Donald Trump's decision to do that literally meant children have been starving to death. Children have died in other impoverished countries because Donald Trump made a decision to stop sending food aid to those impoverished countries. The United States, if we've prided ourselves on anything above things like democracy, is also that we could literally feed the world. And yet we have stopped doing that. We have stopped helping the most troubled families in some of the most troubled places. And now, as it turns out, we're doing that here at home too. We first saw signs of it when the Trump administration cut funding to a program that helped deliver locally grown food to food banks, but also to school cafeterias. School lunches were healthier when they were benefiting from these kinds of programs where local producers, local farmers could share some of the fruits of their labor with schools and with food banks. And that was cut out. And now we come to find out that this emergency program for getting food to food banks and pantries has also been ended. $500 million worth. Now, $500 million cut from the budget, again, at first blush, maybe sounds like a lot. And people say, oh, well, yeah, I mean, our national debt is so high, we probably shouldn't spend $500 million on emergency food aid to pantries. If you think that, that's fine. That's your prerogative. But please understand, we didn't save $500 million. We didn't save any of that $500 million. It all went to pay for tax cuts for corporations and the very, very wealthy. And that's a fact. And you can la all you want, but that's where it went. Because not only have all of these cuts to domestic food programs, to international food programs, to healthcare, not only has every penny of that gone to tax breaks for corporations and the very well off. In fact, the tax breaks were so generous that they're also adding to the national debt. That's literal deficit spending. So it's not just the money we're not spending on the middle class and on struggling families, but it's all of that money plus more that we're borrowing to make sure that corporations and the very wealthy pay less in taxes. And the same goes for the other topic that we've been bringing up today, and that would be the higher health insurance costs that will be coming as a result of the enhanced premium tax credits. And again, what we're hearing from some Republicans is, oh, well, that was all money that was going to free health care for illegals. First off, no, stop. You're embarrassing yourself. It wasn't. Okay. The only health care that any undocumented immigrants were getting was emergency health care because they weren't going to doctor appointments. They didn't want to risk deportation. But when they're bleeding, they're going to show up in the emergency room, and emergency rooms are going to treat them. That's the law anyway, but it's also simple human compassion. That's the healthcare the so-called illegals are getting. And in terms of SNAP benefits, no, they don't qualify. And again, they're not applying for things that would lead for them to be deported. So stop believing the garbage coming from politicians who are making these claims about immigrants because they know that some people will believe it. Whereas if they were honest with you, they'd say, yeah, we're cutting these things to pay for tax cuts for some of our biggest donors. Now, we know you won't like that, so we're going to make up something about undocumented migrants being able to get this food aid. It's not the case. And so now we know that food banks won't be ready come this weekend. And we also know that health insurance bills are going to go up drastically starting this weekend with the beginning of the open enrollment period. And it's not going to get fixed till more Republican members of Congress hear from constituents who really start to feel that pain. Ruth Conniff from the Wisconsin Examiner next. You're up north. Hey there, Ruth. Good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
Good.
Good. Thanks for doing this. It's good to see you.
Yeah, sure.
Parker, the note that came in, was that a voice note that came in through Tony from the turkeys?
No, it's a picture of turkeys outside his house.
It's a picture of turkeys. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. I haven't seen it pop up in my feed yet, so I'll look at it later. And Ruth, are you still good with mostly the DPI matter?
Sure. Yeah, whatever you want to talk about is fine with me. I mean, we
Okay.
did cover, I think you said you already did a segment on the healthcare.gov.
Yeah, but I saw that was a part of your email here this morning as well. So we'll definitely touch on that too. So let's see. Yeah, I think we're good to go. All right, we will get going here in just over 3 minutes. So I'll tuck you back in the waiting room and see you in a bit.
Okay.
I'll be back in 30 seconds.
Matt Nair on Air is coming up next here across the Civic Media Radio Network. Jane and Greg will welcome in Todd Alba at 9:35, and then just after 10 a.m., Corrine Hendrickson, candidate for state senate and a member of Main Street Alliance, will be joining them again just after 10 o'clock this morning for Matt Nair on Air. Later on the Maggie Dawn Show at 4 o'clock, Angela Lang, the executive director at Block, will be part of the program. Again, head to civicmedia.us to learn more. Ruth Conniff joins us now from the Wisconsin Examiner, and we'll be talking about a few different things the Examiner is following, including her latest column, Wisconsin School Children Become a 2026 Campaign Issue in the Worst Possible Way. We'll get to that and some of the other stories we're following with Ruth now. Ruth Conniff, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Very well, thanks.
It's good to have you here, and we'll come to the article in just a bit. But first, I wanted to mention that the Examiner, like everybody else, is covering the story today about the basically monster hike in health insurance premiums that's coming. And it was a case of Governor Evers, along with the Office of the Commissioner of Insurance, putting out specific numbers yesterday, which really takes it, Ruth, beyond some kind of a ethereal, thing about, well, the things might happen. These are the things that are actually going to happen to these kinds of households in these kinds of counties. It was a very specific illustration of the pain that lies ahead.
That's right. Yeah. My deputy, Eric Gunn, covered that yesterday. He went down to Milwaukee and saw the press conference that Evers held down there and is reporting all the numbers from the Wisconsin Commissioner of Insurance this morning on our website at wisconsinexaminer.com. And it's really pretty frightening to look at the kinds of health insurance hikes that people are facing. And as Tammy Baldwin said yesterday, many people are simply going to have to drop their insurance because they don't have the money to cover these kinds of expansions. It's very uneven across the state.
Yes.
There's, some people are looking at just a 10% hike, but that is the minority of residents of the state of Wisconsin because, overall 39% in Waukesha County, up to as high as 800% for a 60-year-old couple in Barron County. So it's very, very significant.
It is. And I urge people to look at the articles and more to find out. Just to give that one example in dollars and cents, in Barron County, if you're a 60-year-old, you're a couple making $85,000 a year, you're still 5 years away from Medicare, Social Security, full benefits, or 7 years away, I think, at that age. You're currently paying $340 a month for a silver level plan. Starting Saturday, instead of $340, it'll be $3,103. That's $33,000 a year that you would have to have lying around, or decide to go without health insurance. And that's where, again, many people are going to go. And Ruth, you and I have been doing this long enough. We remember the news stories pre-Affordable Care Act of people going without health insurance and the financial and life tragedies that befell people.
Yeah, it's been such a significant improvement in quality of life for health insurance to be more accessible to millions and millions of people across this country. And, the big issue right now that is holding up the end of the government shutdown is that Democrats are insisting that Congress fix the sunset of Affordable Care Act insurance subsidies, which is about to hit. So, since 2021, people have been able to afford their insurance better because of this, this boost from the government covering healthcare, the insurance premiums that people are otherwise paying. And that's about to go away. And so, there's just this political war on about who's to blame for the government shutdown. Is it Republicans who control every branch of government, or is it Democrats who don't want to pass a resolution to reopen the government without fixing this problem? And this is the problem now, what we're looking at today, this announcement in Wisconsin of these massive skyrocketing premiums for people who are getting their health care through the Affordable Care Act marketplace. So, I think that's the thing that people kind of need to focus on, not so much the who's to blame battle that's going on in Washington, but the actual dollars and cents problem that people across Wisconsin are going to face starting Saturday when they can no longer afford health care.
We're talking to Ruth Conniff, editor-in-chief at the Wisconsin Examiner, and I can't ever have a conversation with Ruth without talking a bit about migrant farm labor in Wisconsin. And her book, Milked, is required reading to understand the immigration crisis in this nation from a Wisconsin and dairy industry standpoint. You did have an article or a column earlier this month about tariffs and the immigration crackdown taking a toll on Wisconsin farmers and, of course, their farm laborers. How would you best describe from an overview where we are, 3 coming up on 4 weeks into this shutdown from the standpoint of Wisconsin farms and specifically Wisconsin's dairy industry?
Well, the shutdown is really bad for farmers. And one of the things that it's delaying is Trump's promised subsidies for farms that are supposed to make up for the impact of tariffs. I mean, farmers in Wisconsin and across the country are paying really high prices for fertilizer, for farm equipment because of the trade wars that Trump started with his tariffs. And then on top of that, China in May stopped buying all soybeans from the United States. Well, China is the biggest soybean customer in Wisconsin, and that's a major crop in our state. So farmers are unsure whether they will be able to sell their soybean crop, which is, a record crop this year at all. It's harvest time and their biggest customer is not available. So, this has been a huge problem for farmers. It has caused farmers across the country and sort of the main national survey of Farmer Outlook to say that they are pessimistic about their economic prospects right now. And that's brutal. And then on top of that, we have this immigration crackdown. So farmers are hanging on for this subsidy that's supposed to make up for the impact of tariffs. That's what Trump has promised them. But, as a former USDA official I interviewed about this said, it's not even robbing Peter to pay Paul. It's robbing Peter to pay Peter to create a subsidy out of what Trump says is the revenue coming in from tariffs. Well, that revenue is what farmers are paying in high prices for farm equipment and fertilizer. Trump is promising to turn around and give them a bailout using their own money. What farmers want is markets that work for them to be able to sell their products and make a living. And that is not on the horizon right now. There's a vague promise that somehow tariffs are going to improve that situation, are going to counteract the long-term effects of, global economic, selling your product at a low price on a global marketplace is hard. And that is a problem that needs to be addressed, but it's not at all clear how this chaotic economic situation that we're in now with trade wars and tariffs is advancing the ball on that. So that's where they are currently with the shutdown. And then on top of that, the threat of mass deportation is a big deal for Wisconsin because our dairy industry depends on the labor of immigrants who are not allowed to get a visa through our current system because year-round farm work does not qualify for a visa. The H-2A visa, which is a farm work visa that most farm workers who can get a visa use, is seasonal only. So if you have a year-round industry, it is automatically disqualified from that visa. So here we have an industry in the dairy industry that for decades has depended 60 to 90% of the labor is immigrant labor. They can't qualify for a visa because Congress has never fixed that system and created a year-round visa. And so now we're threatening to deport all these guys. But what's going to happen to our dairy industry if we lose 60 to 90% of our labor? It can't survive that. So that's a major crisis.
It can't sustain that. And there are people that could be working on these things, like Congressman Derek Van Orden, who's got a very dairy-heavy congressional district, or Congressman Tom Tiffany, who's been in office in Congress and the legislature long enough. And instead, switching gears to a different story that you're following, Tom Tiffany, who's now running for governor, was there on the steps of the Capitol late last week talking about his outrage over a Cap Times investigation tracking more than 200 cases of alleged child sexual abuse by Wisconsin teachers and the way that these cases were handled by the State Department of Public Instruction. But again, this is me editorializing for a moment. This is Rich coming from a guy who, has not exactly been calling for the release of the Epstein files. So you do a wonderful job of putting this into perspective, of saying, look, these are serious allegations. There's some serious cases here, but let's not be fooled by the outright politicization of this matter from certain politicians as well.
Yeah, I'm really dismayed by what has happened with that story. The Cap Times spent a year doing an investigation in which they found these 200 cases. And in many cases, the Department of Public Instruction in Wisconsin allowed teachers to give up their licenses voluntarily and then dropped these investigations against them. the suggestion in the Cap Times story is that this amounts to a cover-up, or hiding, shielding is the word they used. These cases, it's a little more complicated than that. Jill Underly, the state superintendent, argues that teachers who give up their teaching license are now in a national database, and they're taken away from children. And furthermore, it's not DPI's job to continue to investigate people who are no longer in the profession. So, I think there's something to be said for that. The problem is Jill Underly went to get an award from her alma mater in Indiana instead of showing up for the legislative hearing on this issue, prompted by that Cap Times investigation, which really gives the impression that she doesn't care very much about something that is becoming a major scandal and is, frankly, you mentioned Tom Tiffany and his press conference at the Capitol, it's going to be a big campaign issue. And it feeds into this political environment in which for many, many years, Republicans and the incredibly powerful school choice lobby in Wisconsin have been pushing the message that public schools have failed, that we should take the money that we spend on public education, pull it out of the public schools and hand it over to private school operators. And that is increasingly a huge problem for the finances of public education in our state. So that's kind of the political backdrop. Basically, this is a gift to the Tom Tiffany campaign and to Republicans who are running in 2026 to say, look at these terrible teachers, they're sexual predators and the Department of Public Instruction is hiding this from you. And it's actually not quite that, but it's really important to push back because for one thing, the private schools that Republicans want to channel money into have zero oversight from DPI.
They're less accountable. They're less accountable.
They're less
than
accountable.
DPI.
The teachers don't even need to have a license. So the teachers in private schools could be doing anything. We don't know. And the concerns raised in that Cap Times investigation, lack of transparency, lack of accountability, lack of a record that shows the public what's going on with these investigations, that's going to be much worse in the private schools. We're just not going to see what's happening there. And we don't hold these teachers accountable. So that's, it's a narrative. It's an unfortunate narrative that contributes to the destruction of our once great public school system in Wisconsin. But Underly she really shares some blame for this. She needs to show up.
She did, and she, if I recall right, she turned down request interviews by the Cap Times prior to this coming out, which to me was,
she herself claimed it would be a conflict of interest for her to talk to the Cap Times, which is silly. And I feel sorry for her deputies at DPI who showed up very well prepared at this legislative hearing. But the news out of that hearing was that Underly herself was too busy, getting an award from her alma mater to come in person.
right.
So,
And look, I'm leaving room for, because I don't put it past the Republican members to understand that Underly already had a previously scheduled trip and may have monkeyed around with the schedule. To me, the original sin was Jill Underly not sitting down with a reporter or making every deputy imaginable available to do this. And like you said, it's opened up the door for all kinds of politics to be played with something, which is exactly why your headline says that the children have become a campaign issue in the worst possible way. You can read this full column and much more at the Wisconsin Examiner. Head over to wisconsinexaminer.com. Ruth Conniff, editor-in-chief, thank you very much for some much needed background on this. We appreciate it.
great to be with you, Pat. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Ruth. We will have some final news and notes from Lake Wissota coming up after this. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. All right, let's start to wrap things up here. First, by acknowledging that I may have to change my coffee intake because these single cups that I had after breaking the coffee pot earlier this morning. Once you get the measurements figured out, this is pretty good.
Yeah.
I might have to. Right now, I have a hot plate right in front of me here to keep the because I'll pour it out of the coffee pot and it'll get cold otherwise. I might just have to put a single serving coffee maker right here in front of me. And it'll just be like I'm a lab rat with a pellet dispenser, and I just keep hitting it for another shot of caffeine because this coffee is pretty good from the single size. I'm totally understanding the cup. The cups are bad, okay? The little Keurig cups, they fill up the landfills. Get the reusable ones. Put in the right amount of coffee, the right amount of water, and I could stay caffeinated. I could do this all the way through the rest of the day here. Give Todd Alba the day off. I'll just keep going.
Really? You think you can do 5 hours on air?
With this much coffee? Yeah, probably. Anyway.
Welcome back to the Todd Alba Show. I'm Mornings with Pat Kreitlow, the host.
I've got in front of me something I picked up at the medical supply store yesterday. Yes, I was at the medical supply store because I'm old now and needed supplies for my CPAP machine, which is, it has totally addressed the sleep apnea. It's been wonderful. But when you have to go to the same place where you would get your commodes and some of the other things that you need, you see things like this newsletter from the Aging and Disability Resource Center, the ADRC of Eau Claire County. And there's a big article in the front about Medicare Part D open enrollment. We just talked about open enrollment for plans under the Affordable Care Act. That begins this Saturday. But we are already in the open enrollment period for Medicare Part D or Medicare Advantage. And it's not something that I need yet, but I have been asked by a certain person who birthed me many years ago to assist her in finding a new Medicare Advantage plan. And I have learned so much about it that I wanted to share it. And that is why we have a guest coming in on Thursday to tell us more. And that her name is Ingrid Cunninger, and she is from the, let me get the title right here, the Greater Wisconsin Agency on Aging Resources. Again, the Greater Wisconsin Agency on Aging Resources is going to talk to us all about Medicare Part D, whether it's for you or if you are the adult child or caregiver of somebody, and finding the plan that works out best for you. So again, that is Thursday morning. Can I give you the bare bones outline of the show that I need to do after this? Maybe it's my retirement project.
There's a show after this.
As whatever my next thing is going to be.
You don't mean like in the next hour?
No. Jane and Greg are safe. They're good. Yeah. But this is something I talked about with Mark Jacob a lot in the early days when he was doing our segment on Fridays. Was we need something that just refutes the talking points that we are fed by the right-wing media system all day long. And it started with a lot of what we're hearing now with the government shutdown, is why I want to bring this up again. But it started with Mark Jacob, and we were always talking about how Meet the Press especially, but cable news channels in general, would have these politicians on live, ask them questions. They wouldn't answer the questions. They'd, run out the clock, and pretty soon the host is like, well, that's all the time we have. Thank you. And never really challenge them. And I said, we need to stop doing this. We need to stop putting politicians on live that are going to lie to you or not answer the question, and instead let other people do it. And then instead of having live guests on Sunday mornings, is you play clips of these politicians on other shows, and then you break it down and say, here's where they're lying, or here's where they're mistaken, or here's where they're being misleading, and just do something like that. And it has occurred to me, especially looking at the comment section, today, as we've talked about SNAP benefits, as we've talked about the Affordable Care Act, that there is ample room for a show that simply takes on talking points. I know what other people have proposed. They've said what Democrats need to do is they need to have a daily thing. They need to have, like, Pete Buttigieg needs to go out and do a daily briefing every day that refutes what Republicans are doing and pushes progressive talking points, and people would watch that. Yeah, yes, perhaps. And perhaps Democrats do need to be more aggressive in their messaging. but it also runs the risk of just creating another media bubble. There are people in their right-wing media bubble. There would be a lot of, progressives in that media bubble. And what would you really get out of it? I think there's room somewhere in the middle. If only, this is where, again, I'm sad that Tim Russert is no longer with us, but somebody of his caliber who would not have live guests on and would simply play these clips and say, okay, here's the real deal on this. And then you take it a step further and you say, now, to be fair, here's what that politician would say in return. So the politician says something, we spell out what the facts are. That politician's going to have something else to say. So you'd say, to be fair, here's what that person would say, and here's the comeback to that. And I just feel like if you did that just simply with tape clips and with fact-based information, you could have something that is, it's not ha-ha like the Daily Show, where they just play back clips and tell you some fact-based stuff, but then they play it for laughs. But this is much more informative. So I would call the show To Be Fair, and we would just do a call and response show kind of like that. And now I've given it all the way, and somebody else is going to do it and make a lot of money off it.
I like this a lot. I'm pretty sure that you just kind of explained the plot of Newsroom in season 1. Just a thought.
Yeah. Just a couple of years later that you do that. All right. No, thanks for bursting my bubble there, Parker. Appreciate it.
It's a great idea. I like it. You should do it.
I appreciate how delusional you get when you're under the weather like this. So get a nap, feel better soon, and we'll do this all again tomorrow. Or if I open up this camera and I don't see you on the other side, then we'll know. And we'll hope Luke Mathers can drive really fast to get here. So, all right. Feel better, man. I'll talk to you in the morning. We'll see all of you tomorrow morning as well, bright and early here up north, 6 a.m. I'm Pat Kreitlow from Up North News. Follow what we do at upnorthnewswi.com. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. Have a great day. And there goes the light.